The commencement of the fifth week of the opening term of 2024 on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, ladies and gentlemen. By the end of this week of competition, we'll be halfway through the opening season, the opening installment of the school year for 2024. How good is that? It's racing on by. Reaction's been red hot. Tonight should be no exception. The supercars first up from Laguna, Seca in Monterey, California. Then, of course, on to the Okayama International Circuit. Yes, we're going Oriental on a Monday night to bring you all the action from the fifth round of Waste Options GT3. Good evening, everybody. I'm Zach Cabin. Adam Lavis is here alongside me. Night one of week 5 in term 1 of 2024. And what a season it's been thus far. We'll have a look at the track and weather conditions for you in just a moment. Qualifying coming to an end here at Laguna Seca. Greg Favell on top of the timesheets. No real surprise there. What is interesting is we've got 22 cars on the grid. And before I get to any of that, Adam Lavis and the championship points, I want to bring you in straight away. Surely there would have been some discussion had in the committee room after last week because there was speculation that we'd wait until the end of Oran Park before we pull the trigger on combining the two splits. How did that play out, please?
Giving it one more week because there was almost 50 people last week, which is probably a bit too much for one server. But it looks like last time I checked, it was probably closer to 30, 35, 40 this week. So we may look into it again. So it's sort of ongoing thing because one of those things we don't want to pull the trigger until we're ready. Because once you pull the trigger, you don't want to backpedal.
You can't pull it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Once you pull it, you can't push it. Exactly. There's the circuit. 3.57 kilometers. Track and weather temperature is just updated there for you. 34 degrees on track, 20 the ambient. We're at 3:30 in the afternoon, Feb 19, 2024. The championship standings look like that. Greg Favell, Daylight, Damien Cairns, Will Buchanan, Leith McClymont, Holden 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Sean Hart, Nick Fodiatis, Michael Fraser, Tony Baker, Michael Hammond and Jaden Green making up the top 10. Mikey was a non-starter last week. Nick Fodiatis, of course, continues that run of consistency that often sees him hovering around the outskirts of the top 5 in any given championship he contests. Greg Favell, Jaden Green, the front row tonight, heading for a 25-minute race here, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Spriggs, Damien Cairns, Alex Court, Will Buchanan. clock not moving twice as fast as it would in the real world in some servers, just going in standard time. 1 second equals 1 second, if you know what I mean. Alex Corton, Will Buchanan from the third row, Michael Fraser, Stephen Varga, the fourth row, Sean Hart, Ryan Tegel from row 5. Michael Hammond and Tim Nicol from row 6, Lorne McKee and Alan Gill from 7, Greg Brooks and Brenda Griffiths from 8, Adam Proctor, David Christensen from 9, Chris Stark and Blake Fitzpatrick from 10. From 11, it's Jason Scollier and also Leith McClymont. We do this each week with thanks to the great people. If we can scroll them across the top of the screen or the bottom of the screen very quickly here, Adam Lavis, Player One Sim Gear, of course, Lobesy Racing, M-Wave, Flash Graphics, our good friends, of course, at Waste Options, and our even better friends on a Thursday night from Sprayton Cider. Player One Sim Gear, of course, the main sponsor for Super 2 and Super 3, and it's great to have them on board once again. We're ready to fire. It is Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and at least we're getting some bloody motorsport in today because we've got to wait until the early hours of tomorrow morning for NASCAR. More on that very shortly. A lot of friends impacted by rain over the course of the weekend on the local sporting front here in Ipswich as well. And of course, we had some magnificent wet weather throw some spice into proceedings at the Bathurst 12 hour yesterday. Off and racing, let's do it on a Monday night. Beautiful start this time round as they head 3 and 4 wide on the run down to turn 1 from Jaden Green, who once again got the jump on Greg Favell. We had clarification from Greg last week as to why he's a little bit slow off the line. There's Lorne McKee going around the wrong way. Whereas everybody else is using all the nooks and crannies, Favell's not. So that's an impressive launch even without those little creature comforts to be hovering, lurking in the rearview mirror of Jaden Green on the opening lap. Jason Spriggs, Alex Court swapping positions, and Damien Cairns has been dropped down into 5th place. Ryan Tegel and Michael Hammond, a good start, up 3 spots apiece. Alan Gill up 2 spots. Brendan Griffiths and Adam Proctor, so too David Christensen. Blake Fitzpatrick up 3. Jason Scholar up 2. Greg Brooks has dropped 5 spots. Lorne McKee's dropped 9 spots. Work to do for them for the rest of the night. To the corkscrew for the first time. Whoa, Green with a very wide run into turn 9. Keeps Favell at bay, but for how long? That's the question. We know that Favell will want to lead from the front here, but Green has been improving week on week, and this will not be an easy task for Greg Favell. The Ford leads us at the end of the opening lap. The Falcon leads the Commodores across the line on the run down to turn 1. Side by side, Michael Hammond there with Ryan Tegel. Tegel's hung out to dry. That's a good start from Mikey. Good to see him back on the grid. He was a little bit unwell last week, withdrew after qualifying. Let's see what he brings to the table tonight, Adam.
Yeah, he said he's still feeling a bit tender, but he's at the point now where whilst he's in the sim, it's fine. It's when he tries to get out of the sim that starts hurting.
And that's the problem of anyone at his end that might be able to be of an assistance to him at the end of this race. And I'm going to be interested to see if it's a situation where the longer he stays in, the more it hurts when he gets out as well. And that's probably not necessarily a bad thing that this is only a 1 hour server. 35 minutes for qualifying, 25 for the race. Oh! Car round. Chris Stark dropping down the order, plummeting down to 22nd. Starkey's off the road. Jaden Green leads us through the corkscrew second time. Has 0.2 of a second to Greg Favell, Jason Spriggs, Alex Court, Damien Cairns. Here's David Christensen under the pump, but keeping Blake Fitzpatrick at bay. So 2 minutes and 42 seconds in to this opening race of the night for you. Remembering GT3, the main course at 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Yeah, Lorne McKee got some help there.
Yeah, he just turned down on Proctor there. Just didn't. I don't know if you knew he was there.
Speaking of Adam Proctor, we need to stitch him up in just a moment if we can. And you might be able to explain this one. Have a look at Chris Stark's livery, ladies and gentlemen. And Starkey, of course, behind the wheel of the Ford. You go up the road to Adam Proctor. He's Jason Spriggs, actually, before we get to that. Spriggsy getting turned.
Alex Court.
By Alex Court. Oh. So both those guys have plummeted down the order as a result of their involvement in that incident. And Alex Court down to 13th. And, of course, Jason Spriggs down to 10th. Now, there is Adam Proctor. You might want to explain exactly what's going on here, please, Adam Labour.
From the best I can tell, Proctor's recently joined the locked up sports teams, so he's in a bit of a rush to catch up on liveries, and it seems that he's put the Holden paint on the Falcon, so it's all skew-if.
Indeed it is. Whoa! Off goes Court again. That's Alex having a run through the sand at the top of the corkscrew. 4 minutes gone, plenty of drama already, plenty of excitement. Yeah, frustrating weekend for so many reasons, don't get me wrong. I found it very difficult to get into the Bathurst 12 hour yesterday. Didn't watch terrible amounts of it until about 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, by which point the rain had arrived and everything had been spiced up just nicely. And of course, the alarm was set this morning, like most, to tune in and have a look at the Daytona 500, but they've just been absolutely smashed by wet weather there. I mean, we're looking forward to wet weather joining us here on iRacing in the next upload. Of course, there's Alex Court to pit lane on the jack already. And is it too early to come in? Is lap 3 too early for those guys? We'll find out in a moment or two's time. Jaden Green still doing a good job of keeping Greg Favell at bay. It's a good track, this one. It offers up a unique challenge, both for racecraft and driver skill. By which I mean the onus is on the driver to keep it on the black stuff, and you pay an invoice if you so much as make a mistake, sway ever so lightly off the racing line. Those white lines around here, the sand, they do bite hard. But at the same time, there's just enough in the way of, as Ryan Tegel goes bush bashing, there's just enough in the way of overtaking opportunities to keep it interesting, keep it lively. And that's what Jaden Green and Greg Favell are about to explore, I would imagine. As a result of the rain at Daytona, if you haven't already seen it, I put a post up on Facebook earlier. Tomorrow morning, 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the NASCAR Xfinity Series race from Daytona, featuring Shane Van Gisbergen, who of course was caught up in an ARCA mess on Saturday afternoon our time. And then that will be followed by the Great American Race, the 2024 Daytona 500 from 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which for Perth viewers is a far more civilised time of 5 a.m. as opposed to this morning's proposed 3:30 green flag. So hopefully that'll entice a few more people before they go to work to tune into the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. Here we are on board with Greg Favell trying to set up an overtaking manoeuvre on Jaden Green up to the top of the hill to the corkscrew. And that's the great thing about this track. Whoa, Green's gone! Green's gone! Favell had nowhere to go, so that tap will just be deemed a racing incident. That rejoin will be questioned by race control, as well as Damien Cairns got into the side of Green. And Will Buchanan and Michael Hammond capitalised on that as well. Green's locked it up, cracked under the pressure, and that's exactly what I was about to go into, Adam Lavis, this circuit, as Damien Cairns comes to the pit lane. Michael Hammond tries to jam it down the inside of Buchanan. Jaden Green's in this as well. The pack's backed up, and this is going to be lively for the next short while. This is a circuit that, it brings about its fair share of overtaking opportunities, for one thing, as Michael Hammond executes one very nicely on Will Buchanan, goes into second. Jaden Green's all sorts of crossed up, but there's no margin for error here. This is a circuit where there are so many points that test these drivers. It's a real challenging circuit to get right. That green card, that green Falcon, does not look good. He's in all sorts and plummeting down the order. Down on his inside. Oh, he's actually trying to jam it down the inside of Jason Spriggs now. So Green consolidates sixth. Varga's gone through. Hart's gone with him. And this race is just blowing up Adam Lavis.
Yeah, I think for Green, he's sort of snowballing himself. He would have lit the rear tyres up, getting the flick spin done and the extra spin itself. And also, he's a little bit hot at the moment. He's probably put a bit too much throttle in. And he's just snowballing, in fact, with the hot tyres and just not getting that grip and the traction he wants out of the corners.
Danger zones was the reference I was looking for, the phrase. Fair dinkum. Struggling on a Monday night, yours truly, no doubt about that. There goes Jaden Green to pit lane. Yeah, he couldn't put up with that any longer. Hopefully a fast repair and a fresh set of tyres will help him here. He tried to save it, but it was too far gone. But yeah, this is one of those tracks. There's a fair amount of risk attached to it. So many danger zones, so many points where if you don't get it right, and by which I mean there are parts of this racetrack where, like this, turn 1, Blake Fitzpatrick has locked it up and ended up in the weeds. It is just such a technical, challenging racetrack. If you don't get it right, you pay the price. Right, there's Jason Scholar in 16th at the moment. All over the back of Lorne McKee. But on his outside was Leith McClymont, couldn't get through. Yep. This is a driver skill circuit. This is one that tests the skill right to the very limit. But more than that, when you look at Jaden Green's incident, Adam Lavis, and there's the fastest lap of the race for Alex Court. It's important to note, 1:23.16, which is well faster than anyone on the circuit at the moment. Stephen Varga to pit lane right now. There's something to be said about the pressure that Greg Favell was able to mount on Jaden Green there to force the error as well. So there's, I mean, as much as there is a high percentage of it coming undone here, just by way of a locked brake, a missed turning point, running a little bit wide on exit, all those usual things at racetracks, it's particularly prevalent here. But still, if you crack under the pressure of a driver putting it on you, you also pay the price, and there is a good percentage of opportunities to do that around here. And unfortunately for Jaden Green, the pressure mounted from Greg Favell was a bit too much.
Yeah, it looked like he went super defensive in the corkscrew and basically took the super tight inside line, pinched the rear brakes, got the inside curb, and then that accompanied with the crest of the corkscrew itself just spun the rear around on him, and he may have been able to save it if it was a flat corner, but that crest would not have helped his rotation.
I just got a message from our good mate Nick Fodiatis, and I must admit my internet is playing up a little bit at this end, the Wi-Fi at least, but thankfully the tethered LAN connection is still intact, and that's where this broadcast is going from. So fingers crossed, touch wood, it doesn't come unstuck as well. But Nick Fodiatis just messaged me to politely inform us what we already knew, that he's not on the grid tonight. He's taking a bye, chewing up one of his drop rounds. We wish him well. Greg Favell, Michael Hammond continue to lead the way here. Favell's lead is 5 seconds. David Christensen and Lorne McKee to pit lane that last time around. And with the wireless network here giving out again, I think I might try for the mobile hotspot and see if that does the trick for the laptop. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. 12 minutes gone, so just like that, we're almost at half race distance. We are on lap 9, so on those numbers, 18 is looking like good fishing tonight, once you throw in the splash and dash as well for our race leader, Greg Favell, who is doing another masterful job. I mean, now that he's got those starts somewhat under control and sorted, good luck trying to stop him from claiming race victories left, right and centre. There's Alex Court. It's somewhat of a salvation mission, a reconnaissance mission for him at the moment, after those couple of incidents that he's been caught up in. I mean, there are 4 cars on the circuit ahead of him that have already completed their splash and dash, and many more ahead of that are yet to complete their splash and dash, although Jason Spriggs and Brendan Griffiths are doing that just now as we go to air here. Those guys are far better placed over Alex Court to still get back out on the racetrack ahead of him. Don't forget Okayama for GTs after this. Damien Cairns under pressure here from Jaden Green back onto the main straight, and Stephen Varga in there as well. Monday Night Motorsport, the platforms, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. 6.5 seconds now, the lead for Greg Favell. Off he goes. Will Buchanan, Sean Hart, Alan Geel and Michael Fraser, the next best. In 6th place, Greg Brooks, Blake Fitzpatrick, Leith McClymont and Damien Cairns make up the top 10. Top 9 yet to stop. And we're riding on board with Cairns now. The first of those two have completed the splash and dash. We've lost Starkey. He's 10 minutes down in pit lane at the end of lap 3 there. Adam Proctor rejoins the race last of the running cars in 21st. No one's been lapped just yet aside from Starkey, but we know that Starkey's not going to be classified tonight anyway. Michael Hammond to pit lane. We're riding on board with Jaden Green. Let's hear the Ford hard at work. Exciting times here. Michael Hammond rejoins the race after completing his scheduled pit stop, and he is right in the thick of it all of a sudden. Jaden Green still struggling with that Falcon. You were riding on board with him. You just saw how hard he was having to work that steering wheel. Green is in behind Stephen Varga. Actually, no, just in front of Stephen Varga. Hammond jams it down the inside of Cairns. Hammond now leads this pack. Hammond is now the best placed of those two who have completed their pit stop. And that's having started 11th on the grid. This is a real gain. A real solid drive from Michael Hammond back in business and seeking redemption. He's the big winner here so far, the beneficiary of pitting a little bit later than those behind him, using that clear air to his advantage. Now we wait to see where he comes out in relation to those that are yet to stop. Reith McClymont's on pit lane. Have a look at Green all over the back of Cairns and Varga in there as well.
The other thing, Mikey's favourite too now is pitting a bit later. He also now has fresher tyres than these guys too, so it might be a little bit easier for him to pull away.
That should help him, all being fair and equal. All things considered, that should help him. 16 and a quarter minutes gone here. Favell, Hart, Geel, Brooks, Fitzpatrick, the top 5. All of them yet to stop. We know that Greg Favell should still be the effective race leader. Hammond the best placed of those two have stopped and could be on track for another 4 positions of gain here. That would be +9.
And I'm pretty sure Hart is like scheduled to fall into this group when he comes in, when he does his stop. As Greg Favell finally comes into the lane now to do his stop.
Gotta love strategy in this caper every time. It shakes things up and stirs it just nicely. Hammond, the hard charger tonight. Solid. Back in business. Sean Hart continues on. Alan Geel opts to continue on. Greg Brooks have come to pit lane as well as Greg Favell. Blake Fitzpatrick. I'm just waiting to see what he decides to do. It looks like he's going to go on for another lap as well. So 3 cars get the stop. Massive moment for Green. Door open. Varga jams it down the inside. Varga goes through. That's position 8. It will become position 6. Potentially 7. And Will Buchanan up the inside displaces Green again. Big moments in this race, particularly for Jaden Green under the pump.
Oh, he's gone.
What? There he goes. Second time takes... I think Spriggs. It might have been... Yep, Jason Spriggs with him. And that's unlucky. Oh, what a frustrating night that's been for Jaden Green, and even more so Jason Spriggs back to 14th place. Let's have a look at it again. He's going to get it all sorts of lit up here. And on the spin and slide, he's collected the rear of Spriggs ever so gently. Spriggs down to 15th. Another lap for Sean Hart. Another lap for Alan Geel.
So the Code 9 boys want to get a 1-2 couple laps here.
Why not?
Get
May as well rack it up while they can.
some plugs for the sponsors. Look at us. We get first, second, running the field.
Yep. Favel down the inside makes light work of Fitzpatrick, who is also going on for a 14th lap. Lapping in the 124s at the moment. We're on lap 14. Next time by the line, we'll get a real indication with 6 laps to go as to where we are on the clock. Remembering that, 1 minute 23 is the pace at the moment. 123.014 for Michael Hammond, the fastest lap of the race. And Favel last time around was a 123.448. His best is a 123.23. So 123. If I haven't done my mathematics right, but I still think we get to 18. 4 laps to go this time by the line, and the reason for that is if we round it up 123, round it back to 124, that's 4 minutes and 12 seconds for 3 laps. And we're going to come back to the line with more than 4 minutes and 12 on the clock, but less than 5 minutes to go. Those 3 cars have now come to pit lane at the end of lap 14. That's Michael Fraser unsuccessfully trying to go cross-country through turn 1, and that happened behind the incident that we were focused on. Favel across the line, 4 laps to go. So I was right with my guesstimation for 18 by the skin of the teeth. Out they come. Hart rejoins the race in 6th. That's exciting because he's right there with Buchanan and Varga. That's a 3-way fight for 4th. Kansas all over the back of Hammond, the battle for 2nd. They have bolted on that next pack of cars. And Alan Gilles rejoined down in 12th place. Blake Fitzpatrick now back out behind Michael Fraser, 14th and 15th. So effectively, the field is now cleansed. We're on our way to the checkered flag. We've got Jason Spriggs has been in pit lane for a minute and a half now, so that's your second retirement of the night. Being an 18-lap race, you need to get to, 18, 4, you divide it, that's 4.5, so 4.5, and 4.5 is 9, 4.5, 13.5. He needs to get another lap in if he's going to be classified, does Jason Spriggs. He's only completed 13. Won't be any leniency shown from race control here. Greg Favel with 3 laps to go. Leads Michael Hammond. Leads Damien Cairns. Whoa! And Brandon Griffiths in the dirt. Drops 2 spots. Griffiths back to 17th. McKee and Fitzpatrick go through in that order. McKee to 16th. Fitzpatrick to 15th. Greg Favel a 122.783. And McKee nearly throwing it away through turn 10. Oh boy, it's exciting. It is really exciting.
Also, Mikey must have made a mistake last lap. He was a second and a half off his normal pace, and Kansas caught right back up to him, so we've got another battle for second place again.
It's exciting. It really is exciting. Oh, now Mikey's put it in the dirt and gone! And that's exactly what I spoke about! Michael Hammond in the dirt. You've only got to get it marginally wrong around here and there's a high price to pay. Michael Hammond drops down to 9th. Game-changing, race-defining moment. He was on track to be the hard charger of this one. Finishing 2nd, up 9 spots. Now he's only plus 2. Grass, gravel, dirt, sand, gone. Oh boy. They're on the limiter around here, but it is a high-pressure, high-risk racetrack. I've spoken at nauseam about it, trying to nail the points so far tonight, and that illustrated it perfectly, better than I could with my words. Michael Hammond showing exactly why this racetrack is revered and so challenging at the same time. Joe Baldwin's jumped into the commentary box, I do believe, to say good evening to us. El Presidente, hello, mate. Good evening to you.
I'm guessing it's not good news because he was in the Super 3 race.
Exactly.
I was leading at one stage, trying to save fuel, and just had a couple of off tracks and a bit of a clash, damaged the car. So I ran through the pits, and then I made a huge on-me error coming out, just trying to hustle and get those positions back. So it's all, the majority of it self-inflicted to finish the race, but yeah, it's a pity. It's a fun circuit around here, and I just heard you saying, like, you're right on the rev limit around the whole place. You've got to be, grab the car by the scruff of the neck, but you've also got to be so precise where you place, especially where we've seen young Michael come to grief there in the kink. There's no margin for error there. One drop in the dirt, and as you see, a driver of Mikey's calibre ends up in the wall.
Indeed. Here's Alex Cord, who was in strife early in the piece. Oh, jeez. This is all on. All to play for here. Christensen goes through on Hammond. Hammond drops to 10th. Court comes to pit lane. Now, is that fuel? Hammond's been turned around.
No.
Hammond's been sent by Greg Brooks.
Oh, no. Oh.
And it's all going to the proverbial. Oh, what drama we've had here at Laguna. Unbelievable. Greg Favel's at the front of it, from Damien Cairns and Stephen Varga. And I tell you what, there'll be a few of these blokes not exchanging Christmas cards tonight. All pleasantries tomorrow. My goodness.
How quickly it went from diamonds to gold for Mikey. It's I think he had the damage, and obviously when he's turned in there, the car hasn't done what he wanted it to, and it's just let it go. Ryan's out in the boonies. He got out a little bit better than what Paul Mike did a couple of laps ago, but it's so tricky at that kink. Like, if you're a foot wide of the apex, you're into the bush on the outside. If you're 4 inches too narrow, you'll spear off to the left or the right. It's just whatever the car wants to do, it'll do. It's a really aggressive curve there. So once the 3D curve modelling comes in, I'm sure it's going to be even worse. But we've got a checkered flag here, Zach.
We do. Greg Favel's already taken it. 15.6 seconds up the road. Damien Cairns crosses second. What about that in the finish for third? Stephen Varga, Will Buchanan and Sean Hart. Tim Nicol, Ryan Tegel, Jaden Green. Oh, Alan Geel trying to fend off Greg Brooks in the run to the line. David Christensen comes through ninth. Geel holds off Brooks. Fraser in for 12th. McKee, Scholar, Griffiths, McClymont and Proctor take us back to 17th. Nick Fodiatis very relieved with the fact that he's taken the night off. And that is another great instalment of motor racing of the virtual kind at Laguna Seca in California. Magnificent. Proctor was 17th, 18th for Fitzpatrick, 19th for Alex Court, and a very frustrated Alex Court crossing, Blake Fitzpatrick and Alex Court crossing the finish line there as well. It's important to note. Everyone that got home did so on the lead lap. Michael Hammond's on the tow rope. He'll still get classified, but it's down in position number 20. Jason Spriggs didn't get to the checkered flag, nor did Chris Stark, and that's the way the cookie crumbles on a Monday night. I mentioned it from the outset. This is one of those racetracks where you've just got to be focused every second of the way. As Joe was saying there a moment ago, yep, there's overtaking opportunities. Yep, normal racecraft applies in terms of what you saw with Jaden Green cracking under pressure. But it is so easy with no margin for error. It is so easy, the slightest lapse of concentration, to pay the ultimate price and to bring yourself undone. And that's what we saw with Mikey. Unbelievable. Great racing, though, and it whets the appetite just nicely for what will be a challenging 60 minutes, I reckon, from the Okayama circuit for GT3 very shortly. So, yeah, Trucker, it's one, as you know, you've fallen foul of it as well. Once you get into that mindset in a 25-minute race, have a look at what these blokes were doing off the start. We nearly had a jammed bloody blocked racetrack. We've got Chris Stark about to join us here in a moment too.
We had the same thing in our split, and we spent the first 3 laps under yellow flag. So they never even got to the finish line, half the guys.
No, exactly. Nice to see that race control did exercise their powers to deploy the safety car and just crack the whip on you blokes and bring you into line a little bit. In saying that, though, Trucker, I mean, it's one of those things. It's a 25-minute race, and Starkey will attest to this too. He'll join us here in just a moment. We've got Brandon Griffiths and Ryan Tegel about to do the same thing. Jaden Green's here already as well. 25 minutes. Bugger all time to get in and get the job done. As we saw, Michael Hammond hit the ground running, moved up to as high as second from 11th on the grid. One incident brings him unstuck. The earlier the incident, the more possibility of being able to redeem yourself. But the later you leave it, it's cactus. And if you go chasing it, normally it ends up being detrimental, as you found out.
Absolutely, yeah. You got to minimise errors. Like it's an hour-long race packed into 25 minutes by virtue of the fuel limit we got. You know, we were borderline as, you know, whether or not to save fuel after having the yellow so early in the race. And I can't keep pace and stay on the track when I'm doing full fuel save. I'm better off just to not do it and just drop the hammer and put in whatever I need at the end, which was what got me in trouble to start with. But it's by looking at the start there, I'm not sure who that was involved in that melee got up the front. But at a track like this, inevitably, even the best guys, as we've seen with Mikey, you make mistakes around here. It's just the nature of the beast at Laguna Seca. It's why it's one of the great tracks. And, rewards consistency, I guess, which we've seen by the guys that finish up right up there at the front.
Indeed. Stay with me, Trucker. Coming back to you very shortly. We've got a cavalcade of the who's who of Super 2 and Super 3 stopping by to have a chat to us here. And quite a few war stories amongst this lot, let me tell you. Starkey, let me start with you. And yet another case of what might have been.
Yeah, I've been struggling with the whole season, and then I got this bloody bug. I don't know where it come from, but it just will not leave me alone.
Indeed. And obviously it's very hard to when you're already struggling to jump in the sim rig and then focus on the task at hand. People sometimes can underestimate exactly how much just the slightest tickle in the throat or a little bit of illness can knock you about, mate.
Yeah, I've had it for 10 days. It feels like, you know, I've been in a ring with Mike Tyson into me ribs and stuff, and I was just struggling with the car, and I thought, no, I'm going to get out before I kill someone.
Well, or yourself. And unfortunately, you were caught up at turn 1, I think it was.
Actually, I'm not sure where I went off. I just lost the rear, and I was turn 4, maybe 5, going up the hill. It just went sideways in the dirt, and I went, no, that's it. And I went off at the last turn, and I went, no, park it.
Fair enough. However, the team's going along okay. A little bit of drama tonight. I think Jaden Green's entire car's happy to see the end of Laguna, not least his tyres. But in saying that, some promising pace there for you blokes to build on in the second half of the campaign.
Yeah, it was a bit unlucky for Jaden. The rule is hold your brake, hold your brake. If you hold your brake, you go to the pit, get a repair, you don't get that penalty on top. So it is what it is. There's a couple of moves that are a bit dodgy that I'm sure that Lee's going to be having a look at tonight, especially on those last couple of laps.
For sure. But again, that's just trademark Laguna racing, isn't it? It's hard fought and it's relentless in some ways.
Yeah, but it's good fun. At the end of the day, it's you know what, it's simulator racing. It's our hobbies. We're not down the pub getting drunk. Our wives know where we are. Those that are married, it's good fun.
Exactly. It certainly is. And let's have a look at the calendar, because now we've got 5 down, 5 to go. Here's the run home for you. Couple of real American favourites to build on Laguna. We've got 3 more coming up. Mid-Ohio next week. And, I mean, make of it what you will. That actually is not a bad racetrack for these cars.
Mid-Ohio is good. The first hairpin and then the last at the end of the back straight, you really got to get them right, and then the bits over the hill. There's some really fast ways to get through there, and there's some really bad ways you won't get through there.
And I quite like tonight as well, Starkey, in the sense that it's one of those racetracks where, there's enough there to keep you interested, keep you on your toes. There's enough trigger points that could trip you up, and we saw all of them on show tonight. but just enough in the way of potential overtaking opportunities to make it spicy.
Yeah, that's it. And Favell was doing his thing. I was looking at his laps times, and it's so consistent. What a machine.
Absolutely. The bloke's on bloody fire at the moment. And can't wait to have a chat to him about his start as well, because it was one of the best of the season from him too. Starkey, go and rest up, mate. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit better next week. Cheers, boys. Brendan Griffiths, I'm going to go to you because you're the only one above Starkey, and then I can work my way down the line here. The moment that we saw from you, unfortunately, was a little bit of bush bashing and extreme E work going through the corkscrew. Apart from that, you were able to salvage 15. Are you there, there he is.
Yeah, sorry. I did that twice, 2 laps in a row too, just to really dig the boots in there.
Yeah. just to prove that it wasn't a one-time only offering. Yes. In saying that, though, mate, how are you enjoying the challenge of this car?
Well, this is my first week up in Super 2, and I really went in tonight wanting the 15th. Qualified just outside the top 15, so I'm going to rack this up and up as a positive.
As you should, mate. Small wins and confidence building. As far as the race was concerned, kept your nose clean. As you say, it wasn't as though you got caught up in incidents. It was your own undoing at the corkscrew one lap after the other. In saying that, though, how do you look to build on that when we go to Mid-Ohio next week?
Look, I like Mid-Ohio. It's a fun track, so hoping that I can keep my nose a little bit cleaner next week, and hopefully we can build on the pace a little bit.
Indeed, let's hope so. All right, mate, very nicely done. Nice to catch up with you again. Go well for the rest of the week.
Thank you.
All right, we'll press on from Brendan Griffiths, and we'll keep it tight here, guys. We've got 20 minutes before the GT3 field will be taking centre stage on a Monday night from the Okayama International Circuit. Yes, a little bit of continent hopping, and we go Oriental for a Monday night motorsport to mark the midway part or point of the season. From Brendan Griffiths, I want to go to Ryan Teagle, and because the hashtag 7's there, he's been able to prop his way up the numerical order. I don't know what's going on here, Ryan. Very nicely done from you. up the pecking order, up to second in the train. Well done. I mean, not the worst night at the office, not the best either. There was a little bit of drama early and a little bit of paddock bashing going up the back straight from you as well. In saying that, started 10th, finished 7th, up 3 spots. Well done.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, it was a bit of a race of recovery for me. Yeah, just similar to this year as well. I'm just getting over a cold myself. It seems to be going around the team at the moment. But yeah, we had a little bit of an incident going up that back straight and dropped from essentially a great start. I think I picked up 3 spots from the start line and then dropped back into about 11th, and then it was just a fight all the way back. And then I was just neck and neck with Tim Nichols, and I got to give him credit. That was an insane race by him. He held me off for a good part of about 10 laps, and I was right behind him the entire time, so very well fought. I got one move on him, and then I made one more mistake up the back straight, and he got me in the end. So yeah, great race by him.
And just for clarification for everybody tuning in at home, it is purely coincidental that these blokes are all falling over all at the same time. Discord, despite contrary belief, is not contagious. Ryan,
it might be. At this stage, I'm struggling to keep my cough down.
In saying that, next week, Mid-Ohio, what are your thoughts on that as a racetrack? Does it suit you?
To be honest, all those funny American ones like Mid-Ohio and Canadian Motorsports Park, they all blend into one to me. So for memory, it's a great track, but how well I'm going to do, I can't remember because they're all sort of blend into one. I don't remember what.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and at the end of the day, Long Beach, Mid-Ohio, Laguna, they're all on the IndyCar calendar anyways, and Barber as well. So it's not like we're not used to seeing them from time to time. We're just not familiar with running supercars around them. Looking forward to it, though. What's on for the rest of the week for you, please?
I might have another crack at the 86s if I get a
good boy.
Bit of time. I've been enjoying that run by Sam. So if anyone's free on a Wednesday, come join in. It's the first race we had in that series. We wish we were broadcasting because it was just an incredible race with some great drivers. So everyone come and join us on a Wednesday.
watch this space regarding that. There is a little rumbling in the broadcast booth that we may have a couple of Wednesday nights towards the end of the season specifically for that purpose, and maybe even be able to showcase some GT4 as well. Go well, mate. Good luck.
I will. Thank you very much. Good night.
And feel free to stop by on Thursday night again anytime you like as well.
I'll try. Okay, you keep asking me. I'll try my best.
I know. There's a reason for it. Formula V, as far as this server's concerned, until iRacing releases the Hyundai Excel, is the best thing since sliced bread. So why we haven't got full grids every week is beyond me. Damien Cairns, to you. Second, mate, well done. Was looking like third, and then Mikey went off exit stage right.
Yeah. I had a pretty good race. Had a bit of a run-in with Jaden there when he got spun around and then came back off the track. So bit of car damage, just lucky enough.
He didn't get spun around.
No, he spun himself around. Just lucky enough that I could get enough fuel in it to finish the race and get it repaired.
Let's be perfectly honest, Greg. He was 90% gone, and there was just a little love tap from you to finish it off on the way through. But that was completely beyond your control. You had nowhere to go. However, to finish with you, Damien, this continues to build on a solid run of results that you're stringing up here.
Yeah, had a pretty good run the last few races. I made a mistake last week and cost myself a podium as well. So, yeah, just had to clean it up a bit and just put your head down and see where you pop out and, yeah, go from there.
Everything that the commentary team's been saying throughout the course of the night thus far, this is one of those circuits where you can't afford to lose focus, lose concentration at any point during the race. It is a very technical and challenging racetrack to master.
Absolutely, you got to be confident on the pedal. You got to be confident on the brake, everything. Turning, you don't want to get too much angle on it, and then you're sideways and all the rest of it. It's a good track to drive.
Indeed, it is. And now halfway through the season, you guys are set up nicely to have a crack in the run to the checkered flag, which is coming up. The week leading into Easter, which will be March 25, and we'll have it for you here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club as per usual. What are your thoughts on Mid-Ohio?
Yeah, I don't mind it. We just raced there in the old man's club on the bets, and so I've done a few laps there recently, so it shouldn't be too hard to get back in. And I love driving these cars. They're quite good to drive, so yeah, it'd be fun.
Indeed. Very well done. Congratulations tonight. Still got a few blokes to have a chat to here before we go to GT3. We'll leave it there. Thanks for stopping on by, and go well for the second half of the season.
No worries. Thanks, Zach.
Greg Brooks, nice of you to grace us with your presence. You've been threatening to do it for a while, and you've finally up and done it. And well done tonight. Good showing. Not without a little bit of drama along the way, but in the end, up 4 spots on where you started and finished in 11th, mate. On the cusp of the top 10.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. It's I've been getting a little bit too excited and wanting to jump straight into GT3s, so I've been wanting to come in, say good day, and then bump out. But every man and his dog comes in. I thought, I'll let everyone else go. But it was. I had a fantastic race. I loved it. I completely botched my start. I lit the tyres up and went, oh no, this is not going to go well. I was down beside Leith in second last place in the first couple of turns, and just made my way up through the field there. And yeah, I was quite happy with my performance throughout the track. Seemed to have done a lot better in the race than I did in the quali. But those incidents in the end, everything was getting spicy, and I mean, it was fun. You never wish to be able to be in an incident with people, but but that's racing, and you don't mean to hit people, but that's just what happens, right?
Absolutely. Robbins racing, as they say, and it is, despite contrary belief, hello race control, it is a contact sport. So we make no secret of that, but we do it in a gentlemanly way. In saying that, poor old Alan Gill only just pipped you for a top 10 finish, mate. 0.11 of a second.
Yeah, I was doing all right. I had him covered for the last little bit, and then coming into the final turn, I don't know what happened. I just got distracted and went deep into the final turn, and I thought, oh crap! Like I really got to gun it out of here, but lit it up too much and then had to back off a little bit. And he just had that little bit extra of go juice than what I had. So good on him for doing the undercut under me. That was really well done. It was really good driving by him.
Indeed, it was. Thoughts on next week, and obviously, how have you found working with the rest of the team so far through this season?
Oh, it's been great working with the locked up boys. They're very very active. You know, we all discuss our driving and how we can make it better, and we just have a good time doing it. It's nice to be part of something instead of running along by myself and trying to wave the Tractix flag is what I was doing last season. But no, it's really a lot of fun, and really looking forward to next week's race. I haven't raced there, but the track layout looks like it'll be a nice challenge for us.
One of you blokes might need to go and pour a nice potent cup of medicine for our good mate Starkey, because he feels he sounded as though he was down for the count at the moment, the poor bloke. So I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your night. Good luck in GT3 as well. Okayama should be a good challenge.
Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it, mate. Catch ya.
From Greg Brooks to Greg Favell, and then to Jaden Green and Stephen Varga. Greg, well done. We spoke to you last week about the reasons why you hadn't been mastering race starts compared to those around you, and they'd been getting the jump, but you went with them every step of the way tonight, and it showed in the end result.
Look, I did pretty good. I'm happy. I only lost one spot off the start, so I've got a bit more work to do, but yeah, it's a lot easier than losing 3 or 4 spots. So after that, it was just sit behind Jaden and hope for an opening, but wasn't happening for the first few laps. He was very good getting into the corners, onto the straights, and
It was.
doesn't leave
Yeah,
many,
exactly. Yes.
doesn't leave many opportunities to overtake. So yeah, I thought just keep the pressure on and hope for a little mistake, but unlucky at Jaden. He was going well.
Did you sustain any sort of damage to the front end when you just gave him a clip on the way through there, or not?
No, I don't think so. I don't.
No, good.
I didn't feel it. And I was locked up trying to avoid him, and then I knew I was going off. I was getting an off track, so or a slow down.
Yeah, they went the clean race out the window.
Yeah, if you're doing a clean race around this place, you're not pushing. I don't think so.
Oi,
Exactly. That's, yep.
Exactly what I just said.
oi, that's harsh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get to you in a moment, Stephen Varga. Nice of you to chime in there. Is that suggesting that you may have notched up a clean race tonight?
As always.
Oh, well done, son. Well, but Greg's point is well illustrated, because you're 18 seconds down the road from him. However, in saying that, bonus points are key in this championship.
Oh, you do get bonus points.
But you do get bonus points for a clean race, mate. So well done. And Greg, another 15-second win, mate. So you have really hit your straps here. After a couple of weeks where they've challenged you and they've started to, potentially reel you in, that was a statement-making performance from you tonight.
It's just getting them starts. When you lose 3 or 4 positions or more off the start, then you're in a battle for a while, especially these short races. Like, you don't want to push it and take someone out and get penalties, but you got to be patient. So it makes it a lot easier just losing one spot.
And more to the point, you don't want to take yourself out either. And we've seen a couple of guys do that. Joe Baldwin was here tonight. He openly admitted to the fact that he pushed a little bit too hard after making a mistake chasing his tail, and then all of a sudden that was the end of his night. That was the end of the road. So, mate, you are in the box seat in prime position at the moment to secure another Super 2 title. What are your thoughts on the second half of the season and just finishing it off nicely, putting the full stop, the exclamation mark, and the icing on the cake, so to speak, on it?
I'm just enjoying this short 25-minute races at the moment. I didn't think I was going to make it over and work tonight in time. I got here just in time. So, yeah, they really suit me at the moment. So, and there've been some good tracks. I love these tight little technical tracks. So,
now, just for clarification, what part of the world are you in, please?
I'm Mount Anna now to sort of Camden,
Sydney,
New South Wales.
Oh, okay. So the problem wasn't necessarily the time difference like it is for our Queenslanders. It was just the Sydney traffic. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't far from home. Just been flat out.
Mate, very nicely done. Sorry, I've just got to beef with the Queensland government. It's been an ongoing thing since I moved here, but that's another story. Observe daylight saving, you morons. Good on you, Greg. Thank you, mate. Well done.
All right, thanks, guys.
Jaden Green, let's get to you. Because I called it very early in the piece. We rode on board with you there for a little bit. It looked as though you were having an almighty mongrel of a time trying to get this car around the circuit. And I don't know whether the issues with the tyres and the grip and the slip occurred before or after the lock-up at the top of the hill.
I don't know. It was difficult. I was struggling to get the set down pat pretty much all week. We only just settled on a set about an hour before we went into the session, so I was struggling with it the whole time. But I made a mistake. I was pushing a bit too hard with Greg being right behind me, and then I hit the brakes way too late going into the corkscrew, and that's where I just lost it. And then made another mistake exiting turn 1 later in the race, which pretty much just finished me off.
Yeah, it did. It did. We did see that. You salvaged 8th in the end. Definitely a case of what might have been because you've got the pace there under the hood. There's no doubt about that. But again, something to be said about the importance of nailing the setup around here and making a rod for your own back if you don't, and that's exactly where you ended up tonight. Talk to me about the pressure from Greg Favell. Was that what triggered the mistake at the top of the hill, the lock-up, and then the eventual spin that followed?
I only locked up because I missed my brake marker. So
there we go.
There was a bit of pressure there, but this track's pretty easy to defend yourself around, so I wasn't too concerned. But yeah, I just missed my braking marker, and then that just ended it for me really. And
as a few of you illustrated, it might be easy to defend on, but it's also bloody easy to bring yourself undone on as well. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's easy to come undone here. You're driving on the track limits the whole time, and then braking limits as well. Especially with a rear bias around here, which was getting the car rotated really nicely.
Thoughts on the second half of the season, mate, starting with Mid-Ohio next week and what you're hoping to achieve on the run home?
I'm not sure if I'm going to make it next week. I've got TAFE, and TAFE's meant to finish at 4, so I might make it, I might not. I hope I'll make it, but I probably won't be qualifying if I do.
When you say, sorry, are you one of our Western contingent?
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the country.
There you go. The other side of the continent. What used to be the People's Democratic Republic of Western Australia before Mark McGowan resigned. That's right, yes. Very, very nicely done. So no wonder the time difference is an issue for you. I thought it was an issue for Queenslanders, but poor old WA, we start racing at lunchtime for you lot. So,
3 hours.
In saying that though, mate, how are you enjoying the team camaraderie with Starkey and co?
Yeah, it's good. They pick on my setups all the time, so tell them to deal with it, and then they end up racing, pulling a result somewhere. I don't know, I set up the cars a lot for myself more than before the other boys, as you normally would, but then just tickle around with them to suit it for the other boys, and they seem to enjoy it.
Indeed, and of course, whilst a lot of people will often lobby for places like the Bend and Sydney Motorsport Park to be added to iRacing, I'd love them to come and scan Barbagallo or Wanneroo, just quietly, Carco as it's now known, and I reckon you'd enjoy that too.
Yeah, it'd be great. I love going there. Go there every year. Be an awesome little track to throw around.
It is magnificent, no doubt about that. Well done, mate. Bad luck tonight. Good luck for next week. And hopefully TAFE gives you a little bit of an early mark so you can get in the server for it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Cheers for that, boys. Have a good one.
There he is, Jaden Green. Stephen Varga to you. Thanks for being so patient. Up 5 spots. So 8th to 3rd. Where'd we go wrong in qualifying?
That was my practice session.
No.
Again, I went in with no expectations. I thought I was going to come 7th, but people didn't pit till later. So again, it was good. I'm happy with 3rd. So, yeah.
I was going to say there was a fair bit of cat and mouse going on with strategy tonight, and you pitted early. There were a few that pitted late, but it would appear as though pitting early served you well. The only exception was Michael Hammond, and you were right in the thick of it when he came back out into the fight. And then all of a sudden, he and of course, I've just lost Damien Cairns. That's right. Thank you, because I just lost my timing screen. Thank you, Adam Lavis. He's flicking over into the GT3 server by now. I should have known that. But so they bolted. They built a little bit of a gap on you, and then all of a sudden you would have come round to go up the hill and seen Mikey exiting stage right, picked up a perfect position.
Yeah, got lucky there. I had a good battle with Will. He was keeping me honest toward the later part of the race. couple of spots I forgot my braking marker going into the corkscrew, so I was just hard on the brake and trying to make sure I didn't fly across the top of it. But no, all went well.
And just quickly, before I ask you about Mid-Ohio, when you look at a result like that, mate, I mean, 5 positions in 25 minutes, so we're talking a position every 5 minutes. There's something to be said about the importance of qualifying in the races that are that short, but in saying that, not all is lost, as you've proven, as Mikey was proving before he came undone. It is possible on the right circuits where overtaking opportunities present themselves, and you've also got to probably ride your luck with 1 or 2 drivers coming unstuck along the way. It is possible to claw back a qualifying effort that, you know, might not be a true example or showcase of your potential and your speed. It is possible to make good roads in those short races.
100%. My qualifying pace sucks, quite frankly, and rely more on my race strategy than qualifying.
Absolutely. And the strategy tonight served you well, mate. Well done on that. Thoughts on the rest of the season now and how you hope to finish it off, and what your thoughts on Mid-Ohio are?
Don't care for it. Can't wait till Phillip Island. And yeah, that's about it. I'll keep it nice and short for you so you can get to the GT3s.
So essentially we're just putting a line through the next 3 and hoping for the best, and then we're focusing on round 10.
100%.
And round 9 as well. All right, mate. Very nicely done.
But because I like Phillip Island, I will probably go really bad there. So wait and see.
I hope that isn't the case for you, mate. Great to catch up with you. Thanks for stopping on by and having a chat to us, and good luck for the second half of the season.
Thank you. Have a good night.
There he is, Stephen Varga. Hey, Joe Baldwin, nice to have you back with us. Of course, we've got Mountain Men coming up again on Saturday night. We've got plenty of other great stuff to be excited about around the traps here. But turn around twice, blink once, and half the season's gone. That's week 5 already done for those guys. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't take long. It's feels like it's only just started for me. I've only done a few races, so
you have. Yep.
Yeah, but it was good being in tonight. But I mean, look, the club, I'm pretty proud of the way things are going at the moment. We're ticking along nicely. Everyone's starting to get their head around the new rule set, which is I think cleaning up the racing a little bit. And yeah, Saturday nights have been a lot of fun. We had a great night Saturday night. We had I think 20 guys in the Discord all talking as sim racers do. It was all fresh and clean, as you can imagine. But we got the Formula Fords coming up this Saturday night, so that's another great car to have a bit of fun.
By fresh and clean, he means language that wouldn't be safe for broadcast, I would have thought.
Oh, it's certainly NSFW, no.
Yeah. Yes. My favourite sort. Very nicely done. Keep an eye out for the Formula Fords on Saturday night. That'll be good fun. And, of course, we're not too far away now, only a couple of weeks and a few days away from the start of Sunday Arvo Enduros as well for the new season. So more on that in the coming weeks. Trucker, what are your plans for the rest of the night? Are you shooting through?
I'm shooting through. I've actually got a couple of days off of work, so I'm told that I'm on daddy daycare duty, so I've got to go and cook tea.
Good boy.
So,
and on that note, we'll leave you go into the car and down to the KFC. Good boy.
Exactly. Thanks, guys.
There he is, Trucker Joe Baldwin, the great man, our president at the moment of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. We've got Peter Foster standing by in the green room, and that's a new name to me, Adam Lavis. But let's press on and have a look at the championship standings in GT3 Pro for waste options as they sit at the end of the 4th round. Checkered flag out at the end of the qualifying session. Cars will be on the grid momentarily. Matty Dench leading by 86 points at the moment. That's a fair, sizable advantage over Jonathan Hooper. Jared Knight is just 1 point back, and then Ash Collins. Then John Merritt making up the top 5. BMW 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. There are 6 of them in the top 10. There is 1 Audi, 1 Merc, 1 Porsche, and 1 Ferrari. Tom Bidgood, Paul Wood, Richard Mitchum, Chuk Fung Wong, and Greg Heaney making up the top 10. But already 128 points between 1st and 10th. There's the updated standings at the end of the Super 2 round tonight for Player 1 Sim Gear. Greg Favell, 302. Damien Cairns, 228. Will Buchanan, 190. Then Sean Hart on 173. Michael Fraser, 155 and 152 for Leith McClymont. And with that, let's have a look at the track, the field of battle tonight, the Okayama circuit here, if we can, and remind everybody that this is where we're at. This is our playground. It is not yet known whether it's going to be a morning or afternoon race. At the moment, we're still stuck in the quali server morning time. I'll get back to the right-hand side of your screen in just a moment as it updates now. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a mid-afternoon race, ladies and gentlemen. Clock moving twice as fast as it would in the real world. 2% humidity, 32 degrees on track, 21 the ambient, and 3 kilometre an hour winds. 3.65 kilometres around this course, known as the home of the Pacific Grand Prix in 1994 and 1995. Very much off the map these days as far as international motorsport is concerned, but one of iRacing's favourites. Challenging circuit, tight and technical section between sectors 2 and 3. Makes overtaking opportunities hard to come by, hard to find. They're usually what you'll look for in the first 2 sectors of the lap, that run from the start-finish line down through 1, 2, all the way around to that long sweeping right-hander that brings you onto the back straight and the hairpin off that back straight. Matty Dench on pole position alongside Richard Mitchum on the front row, Jacob Todd and John Merritt the second, Aidan Luthwaite and Luke Hay the third, Stuart Ellis and Thomas Martin the fourth, Paul Rogers and Dane Snadden the fifth. Fred Kahn and Jared Knight from row 6. Geez, it's been a frustrating season for Knighty. Let's see what he can do tonight from that far down the line. Michael Edwards and Thomas Foster from row 7. Wonder if Peter Foster's any relation to Thomas. I'm assuming so. Jackson Dial and Ash Collins from 8. Zach Christie, Jonathan Hooper from 9. Eli Donaldson and David Baz from 10. Then we go back from row 11 at Stephen Gallacher and Chuk Fung Wong. Jermaine Takalo and Sean Benici from 12. Greg Heaney, Glenn Arnott, Braden O'Loughlin, Paul Wood, Dale Sharp, Tim Fuge take us back to 30th. Nick Wood, David Christensen and Trent Allen to 33rd. Trent Allen was a hard charger last week, if memory serves. Let's wait and see what he can do tonight from the very rear of the grid, if he joins the grid, that is. Tim Fuge yet to take his spot on the lineup, and Braden O'Loughlin yet to join the queue as well. So there are a couple of bare patches there in the field. I can tell you we've got in the top 10 alone 2 BMWs, 4 Ferraris and 4 Porsches. Beyond that, the first sign of anything that isn't a BMW is outside the top 20. That's there are a couple of Audis in this field. There are only 4 manufacturers represented on this grid tonight, and already the field is down to 29. Stephen Gallacher opening to start from pit lane. That'll make it 30. No Braden O'Loughlin, no Tim Fuge, no Trent Allen, and yes, no Ford, no Lambo, no Mercedes in this field tonight, no McLaren either. So we are literally down to a 4 manufacturer race. But the variety is still there, the diversity is still there. There'll be battles right throughout this field as we get ready to rock and roll. Nice to see Jacob Todd back on the field. It's Matty Dench and Richard Mitchum that'll bring us to green. Round 5, Waste Options GT3, our third 60-minute hit out of the season thus far. Let's go! And already, look at John Merritt on the defence on the inside as they run down towards the first corner. Hold your breath. It's tight through here. It's tricky in the opening stages as everybody looks for a clear bit of real estate to play with. But it's a smooth run so far. Stephen Gallacher, Braden O'Loughlin bumped the field up to 31. They join the race from pit lane. Already on the back foot. Probably anticipating some drama at turn 1, looking to avoid it. And there was nothing to avoid in the end. Jackson Dial's off the road. He's the first one to come unstuck tonight. Drops down to 29th. John Merritt on the attack, on the inside. Thomas Martin the outside. Whoa, round they go. Now there's trouble at the end of the back straight, and cars have to go left and right to try and take evasive action. Unlucky for Thomas Martin. Plummets down the order. Off goes Richard Mitchum as well. I didn't see that Mitchum got caught up in all of that. Richard Mitchum is now down in 25th. Thomas Martin to 31st, Mitchum to 25th. 2 big names plummet on the opening lap. Jacob Todd to second, Luke Hay to third, up 3 spots already. It's BMW, Ferrari, Porsche, at the Okayama International Circuit. One down as they complete the opening lap. Matty Dench 131.733, and that sets us up for, well, in excess of, what are we looking at? That's 2 laps every 3 minutes. If we go, well, we'll go sub 130 obviously throughout the course of the night. So that's going to set us up for, well, close enough to 40 laps here. Maybe a little bit more, depending upon that outright lap speed and how long we lose in pit lane transit. But minimum 40 if we go green all the way tonight. What a start. Great drama here. And I say that, I mean, so the mathematics, the way it works out, ladies and gentlemen, you go a minute and a half, times it by 2, there's 3 minutes. There are 23s and 60, and therefore there are 2 20s in 40, and yeah, it's a bit hard to explain, but if you follow along the rationale, we're going 40 plus laps tonight. Wow, just great drama off the start, but now we're back into single file formation. And that is a trait of racing around here, Adam Lavis. I dare say we'll see a fair bit of it tonight. As I said in the open-up, overtaking opportunities in the third sector of the lap, pretty much forget about it in these cars. If you want to make hay while the sun shines, you've got to do your work in those first 2 sectors.
That as well, but also it's a very technical track and easy to make a mistake. Like, it's very easy to run wide at turn 2. It's very easy to bomb the first hairpin. Those 2 90-degree rights after the hairpin, they are one of the trickiest sections of corners on the surface. And if you get those wrong, the next 2 hairpins, there could be some over and unders happening there. And then the really bold might try and set up a move in the final corner, but you got to be really on it to do that.
See, already that pace has dropped down 128.566 for Matt Dench. So, I mean, they're not taking a terrible amount of time out of a minute and a half as the threshold that I was talking about off the top. So if we do get an extra lap here, it'll probably only be the extra lap once you take 2 splash and dash pit stops into consideration. Remembering that they've only got to come back to the line in that last, 10 seconds or so, 5 seconds even, to get that extra lap in overtime. We're going to go to 41. Here's the replay of all the drama. I'm interested to see what happened to Richard Mitchum on this opening lap, but there's a bit to pick apart before that. Wow, Jackson Dial just got punted. He got sent hard left. Just did well to keep it relatively well off the wall. Dale Sharp as well. Oh, Sharpie. Tried to avoid, I think it might have been David Baz, tried to go left. There was a car right there waiting for him, got the tail end of that, and that sent him hard right. Pirouetting. Jacob Todd, the fastest lap of the race, 128.523. And Richard Mitchum, the end of the back straight. Oh, we got a tap on the way through. He got a tap on the way through from Luke Hay. So there's a bit for race control to pick apart here. I only saw the second part of that incident, which is the car left of screen. I did not see Richard Mitchum go around it first. That's why it caught me by surprise when I saw an off-track alert next to his name in 25th position. Aidan Luthwaite was impressive last week at Road Atlanta. Now back on our screen here. He's got the BMW in front of him of Jonathan Hooper. Dench, Todd, Hay, Merritt, Ellis, Snad. Rogers, Knight up 4 spots already. That's the benefits of keeping your nose clean in the early stages around here. Easier said than done. 8 positions gained for Jonathan Hooper, who's behind Fred Kahn, who holds 9th at the moment. Jared Knight now off the right. I've spoken too soon. Spoken too soon about Knight. He rejoins, loses 2 spots in the process. Jonathan Hooper down on his inside. Aidan Luthwaite wants to capitalise on this as well. Just add insult to injury, inflict a little bit more pain. Can't do it just yet. Now he dives down the inside going into the final corner. Forces Knight to go wide. Compromises his run onto the main straight. Luthwaite will get down the inside. If he can get the run cleanly, Knight will try and force the issue and hold it around the outside of turn 1, knowing that that'll give him the inside running for turn 2. Luthwaite's got his nose up the inside. Forces Knight wide. Knight fends back down on the inside. Fires it back into position number 10. Well done. good. Forceful racing in the early stages here. Hard. Elbows out stuff. And good defence from Jared Knight. Under attack, under assault from those cars around him. Did well to keep the youngster Aidan Luthwaite at bay, but for how long? Because Luthwaite's got, even though it's BMW v Porsche here, he's got his teammate in behind him in the Porsche, Zach Christie, trying to, gang up on Knight right now and hasn't been able to do it. Zach Christie is 12th. It's a very nice looking Porsche. Just the 4 manufacturers in the field of battle tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, those of us tuning in yesterday to the Bathurst 12 hour would have been intrigued by the discussion that was being had about, Chev Corvettes and Camaros potentially being part of the GT3 fold very shortly. Also Corvette, of course. Then, of course, Ford Mustang as well. Here in iRacing circles and parlance, we're just waiting for the bloody Mustang to oust the Ford GT. And then that way, everything spices up, becomes a little bit more lively. No love for the GT at the moment. There hasn't been for a while. No love for the McLaren. No love for the Lambo. No love for the Mercedes, which is rare. Which is rare that we don't have a Mercedes in this field. Off track goes Dale Sharp coming around onto the main straight. David Baz is down in 29th position at the moment. Stephen Gallich has already come to pit lane. Braden O'Loughlin, the early retirement, not sure what happened to him, but Braden O'Loughlin off and out of the race on lap 3. We're on lap 6. Nice to have you along for the ride. Jacob Todd set the fastest lap of the race thus far. We've got 51 3/4 minutes to go from here in Okayama, Japan. Eli Donaldson, 17th place at the moment, behind Michael Edwards, in front of Jermaine Takalu, Porsche, Ferrari, Audi on screen there at the moment. No, those Ferraris are impressive. There's no doubt about that. And I hope somewhere down the line, to be honest with you, we see a bit more in the way of manufacturer variety in the Bathurst 12-hour field to put a full stop on the comments about that race yesterday. Great result for Porsche. Great result for Matty Campbell. The second win for Campbell and Porsche at the 12-hour. And he's done it with 2 different teams as well, and it adds to an already impressive CV for him in 2024, having won the Rolex 24 at Daytona 3 weeks ago. In comes Jared Knight. Now, is this the reverse strat? Is this the strat to buy him some clear air now and to do a full fuel run to about the 35-minute mark to then do another full fuel run home? It's certainly an early pit stop, but this is one of those tracks, Adam Lavis, where doing the reverse strategy could in fact serve you well because of all those factors that we spoke about at the top of the call in terms of it's easy to make a mistake. It's hard to find overtaking opportunities. He's looking for clear air early to try and maximise his result tonight, or at least the potential there of it.
Yeah, exactly. If he feels like he's in a bit of a train, like clear air is probably his friend. He's come out in front of Dale Sharp, so he's got some clear air. The only drawback, obviously, is you limit yourself on your strategy for the rest of the race. Your flexibility's gone, and you're also slightly heavier than the other guys for the majority of the race. However, clear air is king. So, especially around here where it's a bit of a hard track to get the passes done, if you can get some clear air and put your own quality laps in, it's going to come up dividends in the end.
But now he runs the risk. He can't afford to make a mistake from here. He needs to keep it on the black stuff, keep it clean, and stick to a number. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose of bailing from the train so early in the piece. Jermaine Takalu, 17th at the moment. So, yeah, the one thing that I will say is I can't wait for the rain server to make its presence known here in the iRacing server. We know it's coming. It's in the next update. At the start of season number 2, and that will bring with it a whole new playing field, and especially when we get to places like Bathurst, because to be honest with you, I didn't watch a terrible amount of the 12 yesterday until the rain arrived, because we know once Bathurst has rain falling from the skies, it's must watch, even if you're not a car racing fan, because we just don't know what's going to happen next. And yesterday certainly proved that. It was a terrific show. And the ratings for it were through the roof from all reports as well. Aidan Luthwaite, they're in 10th place right now. Down on the inside comes Michael Edwards. That's 2 for the price of 1 because Edwards will take Donaldson with him, and Chuk Fung Wong is hung out to dry there. In fact, round the outside of Chuk Fung Wong. Jermaine Tackle, who's looking for a way through, can't get it. Floodgates have opened, and once you lose 1, 2 spots, it's easy to lose 3, 4. I agree with Jesse's comment there, right of screen. Will certainly add a level of spice and substance to those enduros.
Oh, Chuck!
Oh, no, there goes Chook into the wall.
Oh, don't do it. No, you're going to get an unsafe pin entry. Oh, no.
Come on, Chuck. That's, oh, jeez. He's been involved in this cave for how long now? iRacing 101, ladies and gentlemen. So he's just given himself 2 invoices, the one that he brought about himself and the one that iRacing's about to hand him.
Okay, because the actual pit lane entrance is before the second last corner, so the corner he actually spin out on, he needs to have already committed to the lane. So because he's crossed over the lines, iRacing will be like, no, bad, slap. So
he's Matty Dench doing Matty Dench things.
Well, he is, but Todd is definitely giving him a bit of a run for his money tonight. He's not letting him go. So hopefully if Todd can keep us up for the race, we might actually see Dench have to do a little bit of defending for a change.
So Dench, Todd, Ben Hay, Merritt, Ellis, Rogers, Snowden, Khan, Hooper, and Luthwaite, the top 10. Main straight, another lap in the books. Jermaine Tackle. Oh, no. Oh, crunch. That was Paul Wood that slammed him on the way through. Tackle in the wall. Tackle on the tow rope. And Paul Wood with a crunched up right front. That one going nowhere but the back of the garage. Unlucky. Thomas Martin into pit lane now as well. So the pit stops are underway. Well and truly. Fair bit of pit lane activity here. Very early in the piece. Chuk Fung Wong, a minute in the pit lane. That was that stop and hold that Adam Lavis was talking about. And he's now a lap and a half down on Matthew Dench already. No chance of getting that back tonight either. Unless we get a safety car, but even then, I don't think wave rounds are part of the deal in GT3 racing, are they? Actually, can I just say the one thing that I noticed yesterday? I mean, obviously, couldn't take my eyes off the screen once the rain started falling because, that any race where you just add water, but particularly at Bathurst, it just shakes and stirs nicely and brings with it a fair degree of uncertainty and intrigue. But I just feel as though that 12-hour race, and it was certainly rife paddock discussion last night, not that I was there, but I've read enough articles on Speed Cafe, that I think I just feel as though typical supercars, now that they control and run the event, it's become an over-regulated affair. I think we saw a fair bit of that yesterday, and I think they need to go back to the drawing board and keep it simple stupid.
There was a lot of penalties handed out.
Yeah, I know. It's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. And a couple of races ruined. Although I must say, I was hoping for BMW victory. I've got a soft spot for those Bimmers. I love them. On the old GT game on the PlayStation 4. That was my favourite car to drive. Haven't played much of the new PS5 incarnation to know full well what I like yet, but have got the game there to have a crack at in due course. Just finding time to do it and incentive to do it is the problem I'm having at the moment. But I had high hopes for either Valentino Rossi or that one that crashed from the lead to win the thing, and of course it did a very nice job of riding itself off the cutting in a move that you wouldn't even make it in the 12th hour, let alone the 4th or whatever it was. Some of those moves were a little bit too ambitious for a race that long. But anyway, live and learn. Hopefully BMW will come back next year and have another crack, because they haven't tamed the mountain in the GT3 era just yet, but we wait to see if they will at some point. Bentley had to wait a long time, so surely BMW is due somewhere down the line. Pit lane activity now. Paul Wood's still in there.
Well, he just came out of his toe and he's going back in again.
But yeah, so yeah, that's bizarre for Paul Wood.
The other Wood, however, Nick Wood's had a great start. Bad qualifying, up 15 spots.
11 spots gained also for David Christensen at the moment. 15 for Nick Wood, 8 for Greg Heaney, 7 for Glenn Arnott. Good to see Glenn back in the server. 6 for Zach Christie, 9 for Jonathan Hooper. No other big gains beyond that are worth noting at this point, but there will be more of that throughout the night, I'm sure. A bit of moving and shaking to be done just yet before this race is run, once strategy and a few other things play out. Dench leads. Jacob Todd's going with him, and Dench won't mind leading from the front, but he won't be, I don't think he'll be going full tilt just yet, Matt Dench. He hasn't got that purple box to his name just yet. He'll drag Jacob Todd along and lure him into a false sense of hope, no doubt. Luke Hay's got John Merritt for company, Stuart Ellis, then Paul Rogers, Fred Kahn. There are 5 Ferraris, 3 BMWs and 2 Porsches in the top 10 right now. So it's the prancing horse, the other horse, and Bimmer. And it's Italian and German flavour to the top 10 tonight, and an even split.
So Eli needs to take some of Nick's advice and eyes forward here. He's doing a bit of defensive lines for the middle sector there, and this group is slowly growing and growing behind him because he's just giving himself less room through those tough 90-degree corners and backing the other guys up a little bit. So needs to just get his head down and get some fast laps in and try and pull away rather than trying to defend the position as hard as he is.
The other thing as well, mate, just have a look at where we are on the clock. 18.5 minutes into a 60-minute affair. We're 12.5 laps in. Well, at least Denchi is. These guys are just at that marker now. And this is the train for 15th place, or 14th place, with Michael Edwards fending Donaldson, Wood, Heaney, Mitchum. And again, it's a salvage effort from Mitchum. And then Arnott and Dial. Now, keep an eye on that because obviously we've got pit stops coming up. And given the amount of cars that haven't yet stopped, pit lane's about to get very, very busy. Everyone down to 22nd is yet to transit the lane. You can add Stephen Gallacher to that list in 25th, having started from pit lane. And we've already had a fair share of retirements as well. We've got Chuk Fung Wong and Paul Wood a lap down apiece. Jermaine Takaloo and Braden O'Loughlin out of business.
Yeah, I just correct myself too. It's Edwards who's defending, Eli doing the attacking. So I just corrected myself there.
Copy. But at the same time, Donaldson is kind of half and half. He's got to be mindful about the presence of those behind him, led by Nick Wood, Greg Heaney, and Richard Mitchum. You don't want to let them through and compromise your own run and fall back in the train and then eventually fall off it either. So, I mean, he's got the eyes forward trying to go to Edwards, but he's also got one eye on the rear view and just being mindful of the presence of Nick Wood.
Well, Richard Mitchum is one of the ones I'm surprised he hasn't pitted yet. He's caught at the back of this train. Given he is on a bit of a comeback here because he hits at the start of the race, I would have, if I was him, knowing that he has a bit of flexibility in his strategy, as soon as he caught this group, just gone straight to the lane and try and undercut him through the pit stop phase.
Down the back straight. This is lap 14. Matty Dench, Jacob Todd, Luke Hay, John Merritt, and Stuart Ellis. There was a move, an attempt at overtake being made there on the inside. We've now cut away to Jacob Todd, who is doing his best to keep M. Dench honest. BMW v Ferrari. And it was interesting because I'm pretty sure last week when we were talking about this circuit, Dench is quite fond of it. It was either this one or the Porsche circuit for this week that we were talking about, and Denchi was looking forward to it. So, no, good to see Jacob Todd going with him. Actually, good to see Jacob Todd back, to be serious, and to be fair for a minute, on a completely different subject. We haven't seen much of him, but he's back, and he hasn't lost any of his craft. There's no doubt about that. And very excited about this week for the Porsche as well. Off to Brands Hatch, actually. It was Brands Hatch Denchi loves Brands Hatch, so the field running on Thursday night in the Porsche up should be very worried already. Down the back straight, Denchi's having a great run, but Jacob Todd, so it is an even playing field at the moment, evenly matched between BMW and Ferrari. What about the run from that Porsche Luke Hay as well and John Merritt? I mean, Merritt we're not surprised by. Merritt we are not surprised by, but Stuart Ellis is gone. Stuart Ellis is off the road. Ellis drops 2 spots, down into position number 7, loses out to Paul Rogers and Fred Kahn, and unfortunately has Dane Snadden hovering, lurking on him like a cheap suit. He's right all over the back of him now, trying to find a way through is Dane Snadden. This is how it happened. He had clear air and good breathing space until then, and 5 seconds evaporates, gone. Snatched out from under him by the front end, or the rear end actually, just turning him around. Whoa, look at this. Donaldson has got by. Donaldson's got by Edwards. Snadden's got by Ellis further up in the pack as well. Snadden to 7th, Ellis back to 8th, and Donaldson has pulled the trigger and engaged Edwards in duel. Greg Heaney doesn't want to bar it anymore. He's got a pit lane. We're on lap 16, 22 and 3/4 minutes into the affair. Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Look at Nick Wood now as well, wanting a piece of it. Onto the back straight, the BMW hard at work. And unfortunately, I just saw a memo there from Braden O'Loughlin about the time the race starts over there in New Zealand. He had a big weekend. It was a late decision to commit to the race, and then unfortunately fatigue, it would appear, has got the better of him there. So hopefully Braden will rest up and we'll see him next Monday night. It is a fair commitment from our Kiwi friends to be up this late on a Monday night, actually. We appreciate their support and involvement ongoing. It's hard for the club too to cater for 5 different bloody time zones in Australia at the moment, let alone the 6th one when you consider New Zealand. Singapore, of course, on WA time, essentially. Dench, Todd, Hay, Merritt, Ben Rogers, Kahn, Snadden, Ellis, Hooper, Luthwaite, Foster, Collins, the top 12, and Christie 13th right now coming to pit lane. It's all happening. So that first round of pit stops, we're already Adam Lavis, we're seeing a few different numbers being run here and crunched and a few different strategies play. So this is exciting because it's going to spice and vary things up hopefully in the second half of the race. But we're now at that critical juncture. We're at 24 and 3/4 minutes. 25 minutes is usually that threshold. So pit stops either this time or next time by would be my guess.
Indeed. It's around about this time. Probably this time or next time by would be the most likely chance for spot stops. And it's going to be very busy with the amount of guys who are pushing the tank all the way to the dry bones.
Including the likes of Stephen Gallacher, who's only came in on the opening lap off the start from pit lane as well. Blokes like Sean Benici, who's 20th, and the 18 cars all ahead of Jared Knight as well. Most of them looking to go on. So Dench drags the field to 18 laps before that first round of pit stops for the top end of town. Dench, Todd, Hay, Merritt, and the further they go, the more the window opens up for that critical lap and how deep they can run into the second stint as well. As I say, this is lap 18. We're anticipating something in the way of 40 laps tonight. Once you take those 2 pit stops out of the equation, may get 41 if we're lucky. 128.5. The fastest lap of the race so far from Todd, just marginally over Matty Dench. 128.52 played 128.54. The field running consistent 129 4s and 5s at the moment if you're at the top end of the tree, or high 29s beyond that. So the pace is definitely there and not waning too much. 26 and a half minutes gone. and we're on lap 18. Hard, fast, relentless pace at the front end of town. And there's two big gaps visible at the moment as the field... Ah, there you go. There's the first sign of any variance as well, because Dench is going to lap 19. Jacob Todd, Luke Hay in the lane. John Merritt follows Dench around.
Hay almost bombed it into the lane there, because that second turn is actually surprisingly tight.
And
it's one of those pit lanes too that you really want to practice, because it's got two tricky right-handers, and then the yellow cone isn't until just there on this pit lane. So those two right-handers are at pace.
Yep, Ash Collins has gone around again, as has Nick Wood. So Collins and Wood go around, but then the next 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cars are all in the lane, all on pit road. So that is going to leave us with just the top 6 that haven't yet stopped. Everyone beyond that, except Sean Benici, has now stopped, and Jared Knight's on a completely different strategy. So that was really busy. 9 to 10 cars on pit road all at once. Dench continues on. Merritt second. Collins, Wood, Mitchum, Arnott. Will this extra lap help or hinder them in the long run in terms of getting that extra mileage out of the fuel tank?
Right, as he can see second and third effectively, but he does have a large invoice to pay on his next stop.
Absolutely he does. And it will come sometime in the next 10 minutes, that stop for Jared Knight. But now, this opens it up as well, because Dench gets to 19. Dench is on pit road. There's Richard Mitchum. He's got Nick Wood for company. Those guys are fighting for fourth. Good fight back from Mitchum this. But still way too far off the likes of Dench to factor in the equation tonight, I would think.
You say fighting. It did look like there was a little bit of multi-21 action there.
Oh, without doubt. Now, the other thing as well...
Oh, Richard's going on again. He's going to try and make it on one stop here.
I don't blame him. It's worth the risk.
And Dench is
Nick
in the lane.
Wood's going with him as well. And Dench is on pit road. So Mitchum and Wood to the lead. Not for very long, because their pit stop will balance out very shortly. Dench gets out at the end of 19. This lap takes us to the halfway mark and lap 20. And
hold up there. He's jumped to him.
Yep. And again, we wait for the lap count to become a little bit clearer. But yeah, I think a gambling man would say 40 laps is going to be safe to get you home tonight. And if that's the case, Mitchum can get 20 out of this stint and then try and get 20 out of the next stint and try and, counteract that difference. That time, that invoice that he had to pay on the opening lap when he lost all that chunk of track time to the likes of Dench and Merritt. This is interesting though, Adam, because the other point of this that we've got to talk about is if you're running to lap 40, right, and Dench has got to 19, but the most of the field has got to 18, lap 22 is your critical number. If you can get 18 laps out of your tank, lap 22 is going to be your critical number if we are running a 40-lap race. And based on the numbers that I'm looking at here, look at when Dench comes across the line, right? You can't tell me that these guys are going to run too far below that 28-29 bracket for the rest of the night. So therefore, with one more pit stop to come, that's a fairly long transit around here because of the slow approach in and the slow speed along. I think 40's our critical, like 40 is our end number tonight as they come across the line now, having already chewed up 20 seconds of the second half of the race. So if 20 is the critical number and we're not going to 41, that works well for Richard Mitchum, but Matty Dench could technically stop next time by, top up and get home. He'd be running on fumes, but he could top up and get home.
So interesting thing about those pit stop phase, I think John Merritt might have been one of the ones who did practice the pit lane, because he had the slowest stop time, as you can see on the screen. He's got a 19.1 second stop. The other guys were in the 18s, but his transit time was second only to Denchi. So Todd and Hay were a little bit slower getting through the lane, so they probably slowed down too early for the yellow cone, or they didn't quite get going fast enough or something. And that's where John Merritt's been able to leap them there. He's in the actual transit of the lane, not necessarily the stop time itself. So he's got a little bit extra fuel on board, and he still jumped them.
Jared Knight as well is the other one we've got to watch, because if he can get 18 laps out of a tank, he can pit as early as lap 22, but if he's only going for an 18-lap run, he can only pit as late as 24. So that's the point. We're now in that interesting part of the race. We normally have a clear window where you've got to race to a point, green flag run to a point to be able to safely stop and get home. There's not much of an overlap tonight between the end of the first round of stops and the start of the second round, by virtue of the fact that these guys got to lap 20, Richard Mitchum and Nick Wood. They've dropped down to 17th and 18th respectively, having rejoined the race. Matty Dench starts lap 22. We are now back in the pit window again.
Interestingly, I wonder if Dench's done an audible here and seen with Mitchum and Wood going by to change up his strategy, because his last lap was a 1 minute 30 compared to his best lap at 28.5. So he's shaved the second half off his optimal on that previous lap. So is he saving some extra fuel to get to that 21 lap mark?
If anyone could do it, I wouldn't put it past Denchy, but fair dinkum, is it worth running that risk?
Well, it's
worth it?
It's going to be hard to get there, because if the other guys did 20,
absolutely.
If everyone's done 19, one's done 19, and only 2 guys got to 20, getting to 21 is going to be a tough slog.
Even for someone as good as Dench.
Especially when he's out by
himself.
himself.
The Dench mark for the reason, but by gee, he hasn't had much in the way of help in terms of getting a tow along, being able to let someone else do the heavy lifting for him tonight. Have a look at this from Thomas Foster. No, not quite.
Very close to blowing it off.
Slams the door shut.
Very close to blowing it off, but just not quite far enough up there to commit and take that spot. But he will try again. Here comes Richard.
Through. Good work, Richard Mitchum on Greg Heaney. Heaney might opt out of this fight. No, he wants to fire it back down the inside of Mitchum. Have a look at this. Elbows out. Mitchum and Heaney. Heaney. Oh, I tell you what, he was close there to making contact with Richard Mitchum. Now he loses out on the run under the main straight. Mitchum carries on. This, all of a sudden, it has been processional for the most part, because that's just trademark Okayama racing. There hasn't been much in the way of on-track overtaking per se. But there's a fair amount of spice attached to this. There's a fair level of intrigue associated with it right now, because we just don't know what sort of tricks Denchy's trying to get up to here, and just whether John Merritt or Jacob Todd want to play the same game. Christie and Foster still side by side, so there's those squabbles happening mid-pack as well. The field's tightly bunched up. Merritt's got Todd and Hay for company in the battle for second. It's 2.56 to John Merritt up the road to Matthew Dench, and there is Thomas Martin. Have a look at this. Fending off Stuart Ellis, trying to get by Jonathan Hooper. Trouble. Jacob Todd. Jacob Todd's off the road. Jacob Todd has thrown it down the road. At the hairpin on the run around to the start-finish line. Jacob Todd drops out of third place. Loses out to Jared Knight, who's now on pit road. Exactly what we spoke about. He's opting for 18 laps to get into the checkered flag. He's in now. 25 minutes to go. Beautifully executed strategy play from Jared Knight. And he's had a clean run all the way through that second stint.
And that's another spin for Richard's going to hinder his one-stop plans.
Indeed it is. Every moment is going to hinder plans here at this point. Oh, boy. John Merritt opts to let Luke Hay go. Now, is that strategic?
I think John's on the John's on the big fuel save as well. He's going to try and make it. There's a few of them who are going to try and make this.
And see, this is why people get frustrated by it being a fuel race, because everybody loves a challenge. They've seen Richard Mitchum be able to drag it out to 20, and Nick Wood as well. Now, but this is where I kind of get annoyed with it from a commentary standpoint, right? There are some blokes that can do it effortlessly. like Dench, by which I mean it doesn't compromise his pace. It doesn't compromise his finishing position. You've got blokes like Nick Wood who, for all intents and purposes, take nothing away from the ability of the driver, but their efforts to try and fuel save end up compromising their finishing position in the long run because they shave too much speed off. They've still got to come down that pit lane once, but they don't save enough time by not stopping twice to reap the rewards in terms of their finishing position. And I mean, look at where Nick is now at the moment on our racetrack. I am struggling to find him. There he is, 15th place, 16 gained so far. Right, he started 31st, gained 16. He gained 17 now as Thomas Martin goes into pit lane. And yeah, it's I just, in some instances, right, for Dench I get it because Dench loves giving himself a challenge. But in some instances, if it ends up doing you more harm than good, I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. And that's not a criticism of anyone that tries it. At the end of the day, you know, some of these guys are out there for championship points. Some like a challenge. Some like experimenting. They're not here for sheep stations. They're not taking it seriously. But yes, sometimes you've got to weigh that up and look at it mathematically and methodically. And I'm not sure they've done that. Richard Mitchum, however, right, so take nothing away from Nick Wood because he burned from the stern. Richard Mitchum, however, was forced into a change of strategy after his race went tits up. Can I say that at 6:30? Yes, I just did. Doesn't matter. On the opening lap. Righto. So what are your thoughts on it, Adam? Because I know that you've won fuel-saving races in the past, so I know you've got a soft spot for the craft and the art of it.
Yeah, it is strategic. It is one of those things where it's a sort of a bit of a turn. Goes from being an outright pace game to being a thinking man's game, which can frustrate some of the guys who just like the brute pace of racing.
Hello, Dave Oliver as well, who reckons it only works 30% of the time.
It is a risk because it's one of those things you have to commit to it early, and it's on certain tracks. So what the reason to be working here is because that middle sector is a lot of long, slow radius corners, and you're not on the throttle. The overall percentage of full throttle on this track is low, so therefore the track itself is already doing some fuel saving compared to the average track on the surface. So therefore, it automatically pushes that fuel window from being like a 23, 24 minute window out to like a 25, 26. And once it's there, you've only got to save an extra 2, 3, 4 minutes of fuel, and then you're all of a sudden into that space of being able to make it. So the downside is we can't really tighten the reins any further, too much further on the fuel to make it two-stop. Because if you go down too close to 20 minutes, then basically it becomes there's no flexibility in the strategy for anyone. Everyone's going to be on the same lap. So it is a tricky thing to play, and sometimes there's some of these tracks where it comes into play, and it's still one of those things. Even if it's available, it isn't always the fastest option because some places have a relatively small pit lane, so the amount you gain isn't as much as the other guys who just go fly out.
Interesting observations from Adam Lavers, and we're on lap 27 now, folks. So, I mean, next time by the line, Denchi will have, if my numbers are right, 13 laps to go.
But like you said with Richard was sort of forced into it. He was stuck in traffic anyway. So by being in traffic and being in a conga line, his two choices were, as I said earlier, to pit early and get out of the traffic, or use the traffic to tow him along and get him trying to get that one-stop thing and regain some of his time, which was working. I did the same thing.
Until he spun the second time.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did the same thing the other week in the Porsches. I got taken out in the second race of the Porsches at the start on the first lap. So next lap, I was like, I'll just see what the fuel numbers are, and if it was possible. And it was one of those ones where it was an uber save. You had the mega save, but it was still worth it in the long because of how long the pit lane was at Sonoma.
Yeah.
So basically, in the long run, it really only gave me an extra 2 spots because I finished second instead of 4th or 5th. Right, but that's still second instead of 4th or 5th. So it wasn't a massive gain, but it was still a gain in the long run. But it is something you got to commit to it, and you just got to basically stick to it. And the temptation is that when someone comes up, and you want to race them, but sometimes it was annoying because I almost had. There was another race the other week. similar thing. I think it was in the 86s, I think it was. Or I can't remember, actually. No, I can't remember what car it was. But yeah, like I was one of those ones that had the fuel save, and basically on the last lap I was GT1s actually, and I thought I could still get a podium, but the top three managed to just nab me on the last lap, so I ended up fourth.
Other point of interest too, when we look down through the order here, Feng Wong and Paul Wood are still persevering with it despite the fact that they're a lap down. We've still only got 2 retirements. But the even sadder story in all of this is that BMW, Porsche and Ferrari take nothing away from them and their drivers. They have got solid control of this race. The first of the Audis is Greg Heaney in 14th place. There are only 2 of them still in the race, Sean Benucci being the other one in 23rd. There's a forceful move for position. Zach Christie displaces Ash Collins, moves up into 10th place. Nicely done from the young man. Number 141, the Porsche goes through. Whiskey Business Racing. I could do with some whiskey at the moment. And he moves up into 10th place. It's a solid run for the Porsche so far.
And it's interesting to see, like, Ash is one of those guys who's normally sort of in the top 5 podium position battles, so he's obviously not gelling with this track, struggling a bit, and the outside the top 10 here. So it's one of those tracks that obviously hasn't suited him, and he's just trying to basically consolidate a decent points haul. As your lead Audi is now in the pits.
And that's Greg Heaney. He's stop, drop, and roll for the run to the checkered flag now. And so this is basically him reaching a point where he's happy with what he's done so far. He can fuel to get through to the checkered flag. And that's the other point. There's such a variance of strategy at this point of the race, which is good. I mean, it's no good if everyone plays to the same tune, plays the same game. It's good to see people spicing it up, whether it be for reward or not in the long run. Only time will tell. On board with Luke Hay. All over the back of Matt Dench at the moment. John Merritt's there as well. These guys are all up to the same trick at the moment, you would imagine. And that's just dragging the pace of the race back a little bit. Denchi running at the 1 minute 30s at this point. Luke Hay a 1:29.7 last time by. That time by, it's a 1:29.6, and Dench a 1:29.8. So Dench happy to control this race at the moment. John Merritt's there too. Jacob Todd has got himself back up into 4th place behind Fred Kahn. But there's the other thing as well, Adam Lavis, how quickly this field has spread out across the racetrack. Those 3, throw a handkerchief over them. 10 seconds, 11 seconds now to Jacob Todd and Fred Kahn. Then it's 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Dane Snowden's got Aidan Luthwaite, in his sights at the moment, and Luthwaite's under pressure there. Jonathan Hooper is 3 seconds down the road. Then 7 seconds down the road to Foster, who's got Collins and Wood for company. 5 seconds to Arnott, who's got Edwards and Mitchum for company. Then Donaldson and Knight. Knight sitting pretty in 7/8 at the moment. Just needs to keep his nose clean, and he'll reap the benefits of that a little bit later on, having played the alternate strategy tonight. No one's opted for long, short, long. It was short, long, long, and it's long, long, short for most of this field. There are a couple, however, that have opted for down the middle, medium, in terms of their stint lengths, and that's a way to go about it as well.
We've got to keep an eye on here. If these guys are trying to get to the end, right?
Yep.
They got to keep in mind the same thing happened last week in the V8s, and also in that GT1 race, which is what cost me the win.
Yes.
Is the other guys who are trying the fuel save, right? If they do end up falling 1 lap short and then pit on that final lap, and they're actually inside the window to not get the white flag because they were there, the white flag won't fall because they've already gone to the line. And then then you get that full lap plus of overtime, because then the next person crosses the line to get the white flag. The time's already elapsed. But hello. Oh,
yeah, that's the problem. That is the problem. I lost you there for a moment.
Everything went blank. I was like, oh.
Oh dear. I'm glad it wasn't my end, because as I said, I had some issues with my network at the start of the night. In saying that, Dench Hay Merritt Then Todd Kahn, Rogers, Snadden, Hooper, Foster and Collins, the top 10 at the moment. Nick Wood up 20 positions. Glenn Arnott up 14. That's a fair comparison of how the night's played out, or a fair reflection, I should say, of how the night's played out thus far, but not an accurate depiction of it because we've still got so many drivers yet to complete their second stop. In fact, the entire top 15 are yet to stop a second time, nor David Christensen in 20th, Sean Bonici in 21st. Zach Christie, whilst we were focusing on other things, has now stopped a second time. He's back out in 22nd place. Everybody else has either stopped that second time or has parked up for the night. Stephen Gallagher has stopped twice. Paul Wood stopped twice. Chuk Fung Wong has stopped twice, but they are all a lap down, out of business. The only one likely to get his lap back there is Stephen Gallagher because Matty Dench is only 0.05 of a lap up the road and still has to stop that second time, as does everyone behind him all the way down to, as I said there a moment ago, Eli Donaldson and a few more beyond that.
So I just did the quick math. As they crossed the line, they had 8.7 laps till the clock ran out. So there's 9 laps left in this race.
So this one and 8 more?
Yes.
Right. The Zaculator's working fine tonight. That's good.
Which means, as we thought, these guys
Yep.
who pitted on lap 19 are going to need to get that magical 21 to make it home. So it's going to be a tough slog.
Yeah, so essentially, for those of you that are just joining us, at the start of the race, I said we'd be looking at about 40 laps, 41 if we got lucky. But given the pace of the race has slowed a little bit, given the pit lane transit is as long as it is going to be straight up 40 laps to the checkered flag. There's Michael Edwards being sent exit stage left. Race control will have a look at the tape on that one. So because it's the 90-second lap,
I think he's run wide here.
Yeah, I think so. I tell you what, that's touch and go. That really is touch and go. It looked as though he got across to cover it off, but I'll let race control pick that one apart. So yeah, 2 by
Luke Hay playing the game.
Tom Merritt and Luke Hay. A gamesmanship going on here, no doubt.
Looked like he was playing a bit of DRS chicken there. Totally lifted the ledge on by it.
So for the benefit of those of you tuning in at home, the reason I got to 40 laps is that we said it's 2 laps every 3 minutes, and there are 3 20s in 60 minutes, and therefore there are 2 20s. There are 2 20s in that as far as the laps are concerned. 20 by 2 is 40. If
they stuck with their 28s, there was that chance of getting that 41st lap. That's totally gone now. But 40 laps looks to be the way to go.
Absolutely, and that works out perfectly for the likes of Richard Mitchum
and Nick Wood.
And also Nick Wood, but not so for anybody else that only got wind at the 20-lap stretch on lap 19 when they pitted. So if they can get to 21 here, this field could well be bunched up by the end of it. Although the likes of Jacob Todd and Fred Kahn look, anyone that stopped on lap 18, forget about it. They've got no hope. They will need to splash and dash. The question mark hovers around Merritt and Dench. Forget about Luke Hay, because he stopped on lap 18 as well. It is literally Dench and Merritt that we're keeping our eyes on here, whether they can stretch it to 21. That would be some sort of Herculean effort if they could.
Although Luke Hay seems to be trying, given that he did just let Merritt pass, but it's going to be a struggle getting 22 laps.
Yep, absolutely. Right. 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes to go. Keep your eyes peeled, ladies and gentlemen.
And the other thing too, doing mega fuel saves in the GT3s is a lot harder now because they haven't got the clutch. So all they can do is lift and coast. And with the gear still intact, you're obviously losing more speed than if you could clutch because you got the resistance of the motor dragging your rolling speed down. So you obviously can't keep as much momentum in the fuel save, so it's a little bit harder to keep that pace up and save the fuel now.
Yep, I'm hearing you. See, this is why fuel saving races give people the you-know-whats. I nearly let the words got there a moment ago.
It frustrates people, but the thing is, it puts the variables in there, which makes it unpredictable for the race.
If we see Merritt or Dench chug-a-lugging, coughing and spluttering on their way to the line, it's going to make things exciting. I mean, but see, this is the thing. If Dench didn't think he could do it, he would have already peeled off and grabbed that little bit of extra juice. And John Merritt, because at the same time, even though it's worth having a crack because they've got an advantage on the rest of the field, they've got distance. And look how far Luke Hayes dropped off on John Merritt, by the way. So I think he's now giving it some serious thought. 1 minute 33.001 last time by. He knows there's a more of an invoice to pay now if he has to come to pit lane. But these guys aren't silly. Like, if they didn't think it was achievable, they would have stopped running to those numbers. They would have just committed to the splash and dash, wouldn't they?
Oh, you'd think so. You got to, as I said, you got to commit early, and you got to know that you can do it, because it is, if you fuel save and then still run short as well, that's a double whammy in the hit department.
Yeah, it's just next level embarrassing, really. Michael Edwards to pit lane from 16. Jacob Todd soldiering on. And anyone that's around that 17-18 marker. So Jonathan Hooper pitted on lap 17. He's still out there, but he's on the 18th lap of his stint. So any of those 18s, we're looking at this lap or next lap by for them to come to pit lane and for their splash and dash to the flag. And that's going to really blow out the winning margins of this race in favour of Dench and Merritt too, just quietly.
So the thing with Motorsport, if the overall pace of the field is very, very close, then just basic, simple sprint racing qualifying can work. But if there is people with decent advantages, it brings in that fundamental flaw of racing of you qualify, put the fastest car at the front, and then wonder why they win.
And how bloody well frustrated are you going to be if your name's Nick Wood, right? You're currently 30 seconds off Matt Dench, and Dench does a 19 and a 21 lap stint and still beats you by half a minute on a one-stop strat. Right? How deflating is that going to be? There's David Baz looping it around. That's what the puff of smoke was all about last time we looked at that particular part of the racetrack. Jonathan Hooper's coming to pit lane this time by, and there are a few blokes out there just trying to go that little bit further. 18th lap of the stint for some, 19th others. Oh boy, and Luke Hay. Now, Jacob Todd's got by Luke Hay. There it is on your screen. I was looking at the timing monitor, completely missed it on the vision here. Luke Hay has let Jacob Todd go. So now Luke Hay is in treacherous, tricky, dangerous territory because he's trying to go 22 laps on this tank of fuel.
And the problem is he's already...
But he's running the numbers to allow himself to potentially do it because he's running a 33, a 31.9, etc.
Well, that's the problem, though, because he's realised so late, though, he's now bleeding a lot of time. So he's sort of damned if he doesn't, damned if he doesn't.
Yep, absolutely. It's high risk, little reward at this point for Luke Hay. Now, Jacob Todd and Fred Kahn theoretically will come to pit lane either this time or next time by. It's this time. Oh, Hay! Sorry, Todd. Todd with a really sketchy run into pit lane, and that might just be his night done. iRacing won't really take a fond view of that. They may well throw the book at him, having somewhat of a sense of humour failure, and that will trigger a sense of humour failure for Jacob Todd. I will stress, I would assume, and he will pull up now, and whether he's there for 50 seconds or 10 remains to be seen. Jacob Todd's in, Paul Rogers, Dane Snowden, Thomas Foster all on the lane. He's got away with it. How on earth did he get away with that? That is a stroke of luck for Jacob Todd. Unbelievable. Contact with Richard Mitchum. There goes Todd into the wall. Oh, high drama here at Okayama. And off the road behind him is Stuart Ellis as well. It's all going to hell on the final run to the flag, as it so often does on a Monday night. Waste Options GT3. Fatigue, urgency, impatience, all creeping in, and Todd trying to close the door on Mitchum, and Mitchum wasn't having a bow of it. Ellis got the rear end loose through one. And how often do we see this, Adam Lavis? The fatigue factor kicks in, and these guys, we usually lose a couple of protagonists in the run to the checkered flag. Jacob Todd with the fastest lap of the race, however, 1:28.523. Now on the tow rope, and a top 5 finish goes begging. Good luck, race control.
It's going to be another tough one too, with the fact that it's the outside of turn 1 there, and there's a little bit of Jacob running wide, but it was also Richard trying to hold a tight line to get the exit. So it's a little bit of both there. It's going to be hard. That's going to be a tough 50-50 call for race control to make on that one.
Good luck to them. That's Lee Williamson and Kevin Henderson in race control for us tonight. I haven't had a chat to either of those two gentlemen for a while. We might have to at some point. Matty Dench leads. John Merritt is second. The margin is 1.2. That's really spicy as well. Nick Wood is now fourth. And if he can limp it all the way to the line without losing out to Ash Collins or Richard Mitchum or Fred Kahn, then that is actually an instance in where I might have to actually eat some humble pie because he's going to get away with it.
Yeah, and Richard was in a better spot than Nick too, so he could have been like in a podium if he didn't have those other incidents as well. So bit of unfortunate for Richard tonight. Getting caught him at least 2 incidents and then a couple other ones where he wasn't negatively affected, but also so he's been at almost losing, having less fingers than incidents tonight. So
yeah,
one of those nights.
But still an instance in which he has ended up half a minute behind. Oh, Luke Hay kissing the grass. Oh, Luke Hay into pit lane. This is going to be third for Nick Wood. Third for Nick Wood on the line here, and Jared Knight under pressure from Glenn Arnott.
I can see the way around.
Everyone's trying. Glenn Arnott, Jared Knight trying to find his way back by, and Glenn Arnott has consolidated Knight's place. So Nick Wood's got up into third, 28 positions gained, but this is the problem for Nick. He's 29 seconds off Dench and Merritt.
The thing is that if they had to pit,
he has had incidents and all that sort of stuff, but yeah.
If they had pitted, it would have been a blinder because he would have been in line to possibly steal the win or definitely get a higher podium. But it's white flag next time by, so Denchi and John are still going to make it.
Absolutely they do. White flag in the air next time by. This race won't go too far into overtime. Maybe 25 seconds if we're lucky into overtime. Dench is coming towards the main straight. White flag in the air. Dench and Merritt trying to get to 21. What a performance this would be. Forget about the fastest lap of the race. That's not going to happen. Denchy's on his run home. Can Merritt go with him? The margin's less than a second. Nick Wood's 29.5 seconds down the road. Ash Collins is behind him. Richard Mitchum's still a chance at fourth. Hovering there on the back of Ash Collins. Jared Knight and Dane Snadden are in a three-way fight with Glenn Arnott, who's up 18 spots as well. He only stopped once. It's important to note. He stopped on lap 19 as well. So he's going for the 21-lap run to the checkered flag. This is extraordinary that we've got three blokes trying to pull this off. On the final lap, on the run to the checkered flag, Dench extends his lead out to 1.3 seconds. Cool. BMW on top again here. Surely not. Surely he's not going for the fastest lap of the race on the final lap and trying to save fuel at the same time. Surely not.
I was about to say 5, but Sean Benucci's just fitted now. But yeah, there's 4. We got Denchy, Merritt, Collins, and Glenn Arnott all doing the 1921 mega safe.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And yet again, the Dench mark finds his way to the top step of the summit in an extraordinary fuel race at Okayama in Japan. Main straight, checkered flag. Dench does it again. John Merritt will be second. The two standout performers of the last 3 years in GT3 have got themselves to the checkered flag. Glenn Arnott's gone. Glenn Arnott's gone. Another one bites the dust. A 28.9 on the run home for Denchy. His best lap in a while. A 29.5 for John Merritt. And Nick Wood, one of the rare instances in which a one-stop fuel save will be rewarded so well for the guy that started almost last on the grid. 28 positions gained for Nick Wood.
Mitchum's out.
Comes home. Oh, Richard Mitchum's chug-a-lugging across the line. He's out of fuel.
He's lost
gonna
2
drop
spots.
to 7. Oh! The elbows are out. Snadden got Snadden pipped Knight. Snadden pipped Knight. 0.03 of a second. We need to have another look at that. This is Dane Snadden. Oh, Knighty ran it wide onto the main straight. Knighty ran it wide onto the main straight. Compromised his run. Snadden down the outside with the draft. Thanks for coming. Wow. Whew. Pick that apart. So Thomas Martin ran into trouble early and came home in 10th place, down 2 spots on where he started. Aidan Luthwaite down 6 spots on where he started in 11th. Stuart Ellis 12th. Jonathan Hooper, Thomas Foster, and Eli Donaldson back to 15th. Zach Christie 16th. Sean Benici, a case of what might have been, considering that he had to come in for 3 seconds of fuel there, and he will finish 21st. Going on at Dale Sharp, Stephen Gallacher, David Baz, Chook Lung Long, Paul Woodall finished a lap down. Luke Hay finished 2 laps down. Luke Hay finished 2 laps down, unfortunately. That was Dane Snadden's run for 8th to pip Jared Knight. Jacob Todd's a bad, sad, unlucky state of affairs there, that story. Down 26 places. Jermaine Tacklew and Braden O'Loughlin, the retirements. Those two, Hay and Todd, still get home on 75% race distance, but Luke Hay is already disconnected from the server, whereas Todd stayed in pit lane. He won't benefit anything from that because points go down to 25th, but that's another story. Denchi gets the win from Merritt. Nick Wood, that's extraordinary. And I can't wait to find out from Matty Dench and John Merritt just how dry the fuel tank was potentially. And there's some donuts being lit up here as well from Dane Snadden.
He's happy with his top 10.
And rightly so. Ash Collins up 12 spots, but the biggest mover of the night is Nick Wood. Fred Kahn up 6, Paul Rogers up 3, Richard Mitchum down 5, but pretty good. Actually, when it comes to reconnaissance missions and salvaging something from the way it started, that's as good as Richard Mitchum could have probably hoped for, even though he did chug-a-lug to the line. What would have been 5th ended up 7th. Dane Snadden, Jared Knight and Thomas Martin made up the top 10. But again, at the end of the day, you saw it right there in crystal clear high def, ladies and gentlemen. It was a perfect illustration of the difference between those that can fuel save and those that go within an inch of being able to pull it off. Unfortunately, Richard Mitchum fell on the wrong side of that ledger tonight. Jared Knight, one mistake all night from 90. One mistake, final corner, it cost him 8. And 0.03 of a second. There's a lot to pick apart here. 8 positions gained for Greg Heaney, 12 for David Christensen. So there were some good movers forward tonight. Jacob Todd and Luke Hay were very unlucky.
So Jared Knight's also been relegated to 25th and 1 lap down.
Oh no. Okay.
He's crossed the line 9th.
Yes,
so
he has.
So what
the bloody hell's going on there? Yeah, exactly.
What's racing done there? But I was going to say poor old Chuck and Paul trying to do the recovery, and they're the first 2 cars out of the points. That is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it certainly is for them. There's no doubt about that. David Baz had an off-track skirmish. There's plenty of drama in that hour. Greg Heaney and John Merritt are here to try and help us pick it all apart, and Zach Christie's on his way in as well. I might start with Zach and Greg from the same stable, of course. There it is from Stuart Ellis's perspective off the start. The elbows were out early. The action was red hot. It was highly dramatic, but that's just the way we like it. Let's start with you, please, Greg Heaney. And Zach just ahead of you tonight, up 1 spot, but you, young man, up 8 spots from 25th to 17th. Nice charge. The best placed Audi in a field very depleted of them.
Oh, well, somebody's got to fly the flag. So, yeah, no, happy with tonight's result. Had to very much persevere with the second, or between first and second stops. The tyres were crying by the end of that. I was very happy to get a full set of boots back on the car. Happy with the performance from the Bowens boys today. Unfortunate for Jackson and the Turn 1 incident 2 weeks in a row, unfortunately. He was a little bit hot under the collar, but managed to calm him down and get him through to the end. Zach was going to let me go past 2 laps from the end to try and chase down Eli, and then it was, I'm not catching 4 seconds in a lap, so stay where you are.
Yep.
So, no, I was stuck with the Bailey's cars for a little bit there too.
Yeah. Just excuse me one moment, Greg. Want to go back to Adam Lavis. If we've got any footage of what brought Glenn Arnott unstuck on the last lap, or whether he just simply ran out of juice, let's try and have a look at that as well. That's the only thing we haven't looked back on from that last lap just yet. Stay with me, Greg. I'm going to bring Zach in at this point in time. Mate, we checked in with you just not long before your second pit stop. You were hustling and bustling your way, trying to get up into the top 10. This is going to explain what happened to Glenn Arnott. Oh,
that's a failure.
That's a failure of some description.
Mate.
The brakes are gone, and Glenn Arnott's in the wall, and that's a very sad-looking BMW as a result. A lap from home, and also on that one-stop run that the likes of Merritt and Wood and Dench executed so beautifully. And we've got Nick Wood standing by to have a chat to us as well, and I'll get to him next because it's a very late finish for him and everybody else. There's what happened to Jackson Diallo on the opening lap as well, and that's the point as well, Greg. Before I talk to Zach, the fact that he was able to salvage something and work his way back through to 19th, that was a good recovery. Not as good as maybe a Richard Mitchum, who also ended up pointing the wrong way on the opening lap, but still good that he was able to knuckle down. Put his mind, his focus, put the incident behind him and focus on the task at hand, and get stuck into the job, the task of trying to salvage something. And it wasn't all bad, all things considered. It could have been a lot worse, but that's the joy of having 60 minutes to work with. You can still achieve something if it goes tits up on the opening lap.
Oh, most definitely. From the outset, Jackson had it in mind to finish somewhere in and around near me. And qualifying and practice, he was faster than me. Like, mate, you're ahead of me. Don't aim for me. Aim for finishing up somewhere near around Aiden. I think Aiden had a bit of an off somewhere in one of the scuffles within the first handful of laps as well. So, all credit to Jackson to be able to regather his thoughts and focus ahead instead of in the mirror and catch up to me. So, at least for the most part. So.
Indeed. Stay with me, mate. I'll get your thoughts on next week in just a moment. Zach, bring you in at this point. As I said before we had a look at Glenn Arnott's incident, when we were looking at your car on screen in the second part of the race before that second round of pit stops, you were fighting for a spot in the top 10, but obviously strategy and a few other things have pushed you back down to 16th, mate, but not a bad result considering that at least you're up one on where you started.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be able to drive again this week for sure. But yeah, it was the tyres were a bit of a how you going this week, I believe. I was struggling. I felt like I was driving a supercar through all the corners. She wanted to get loosey goosey, so a bit of throttle control through there. But once I got the tyres on my last stint. Greg pitted before me, and we were like, "Yeah, let's get new tyres." We were back on pace again, sort of thing. I was a little bit running behind, but I still had enough in me that I could overtake towards the end, just before I pitted on the second part. But as you said, it's just my strategy didn't plan out as correctly. Hoping to keep the say top 15, but we end up getting back there anyway, so it wasn't that bad. Obviously top 10 would have been great, but there's always next time for sure. At least I actually finished the race, we'll say, because last week wasn't my greatest week either. So glad to be able to finish as well.
You mentioned strategy, and I did as well. It was more so than usual a big part of the narrative tonight because there were so many different varying strategies at play. Sure, Jared Knight went early, did the short stint first and then finished with 2 long stints. A few guys split it straight down the middle, either 20 and 40 minutes or, of course, 30 and 30, 19 and 21 or 20 and 20, whichever way they went about it. But that meant that we had an incredible length in terms of our critical lap number and the latest we would see anyone in the pit lane. And that really spiced things up because instead of a huge chunk of people opting to stop at the same time, a few people were opting to bail at different times.
Yeah, it creates we'll say, diversity in the race as well, which is good because you can have someone that starts from the back of the grid and still finish in the top 10, which probably a couple people actually did, and they got their strategy right. Some people with their strategy, with that, were able to stay where they were. I kind of stayed where I was, where I qualified and everything like that. Probably moved a little bit further forward, a couple places forward, but to be honest, I'm happy with it. There's always next race and stuff like that. So focus is on to the next one. I know the boys and I are looking at doing the official 12-hour for Bathurst. So that's going to be a lot of fun, just us having a bit of fun because that's all we're about. So the main thing was showing up and having fun.
Indeed. Stay with me, mate. I'm coming back to you and Greg in just a moment. Want to get to Nick Wood because I'm swallowing a little bit of humble pie at the moment, if I'm perfectly honest, mate, because there are some weeks, let's lay the cards on the table and not muck about here. There are some weeks where that fuel save strategy does often work against whoever's trying to pull it off if their name isn't M. Dench. We've seen it before. Tonight wasn't one of those nights. However, I want to start with the bleeding obvious here. What the hell happened in qualifying? Because it's not like you to start down in 31st.
Oh, well, it's good to have the digital race engineering BMW up there. Qualifying, I just didn't get here early enough.
Yep.
I'm struggling for time recently, so I hopped on with 4 minutes to go. By the time the server loaded in, I think there was 2 minutes left, and I just didn't get to the line before checkered flag came out.
So that meant the old burn from the stern and 28 positions gained as a result of that. So I guess the first question is, because you were the catalyst for a few blokes ahead of you, namely M. Dench and Jay Merritt, who one of whom we'll get to in just a moment. We're hoping that Mr. Dench will grace us with his presence here at some point. But when they saw that you could get to 20, when they saw that it was only going to be a 40-lap race, then began the mega fuel save on their front, so on their part, to try and get home without having to transit the lane again. So the first question goes to you, because you split it down the middle, 20 and 20. How early did you know that that was doable and possible?
When I got into the server, the team told me it's a fuel save race and to fuel save. So it was right from the start.
Okay, excellent. And on that subject, I guess the follow-up question is, how much was left in the tank? How close to burning on fumes were we at the checkered flag?
I had about just under a litre.
So not enough for another lap.
No, I got the back straight.
If only the pace of the race was a little bit more, that would have made things particularly bloody interesting. But that's the circuit. You gotta play the cards you dealt. You got to play the field on the night, and this circuit lends itself nicely to be able to fuel save. And not everyone's a fan of that, Nick, but in this particular instance, 3 or 4 of you made it really work to your advantage.
Yeah, I saw John Merritt wasn't too happy with the fuel save strategy, but I actually enjoy it. It's the way I drive, really.
He says he didn't like it, but he adopted it. And we'll get to John in just a moment to find out why.
Still faster than me.
Yeah, well, and that's the point, mate. And this was the point that I was talking about in the commentary of the race. And when you hear it back, you'll see that I had to eat a little bit of humble pie when it actually worked to your advantage tonight. But sometimes, as you will know, there are some circuits where that strategy doesn't work to your favour when you add up how much time can be lost fuel saving compared to those guys ahead of you, and there must still be a little bit of frustration there that had things fall into place, had you been able to qualify, etc. and so forth, you may not be half a minute down the road, but the stats don't lie. Those guys are still able to do exactly what you did tonight, even run 1 lap longer in the second stint and be half a minute up the road, and that's something no doubt that you'd want to work on and try and eradicate.
Oh, absolutely. But I just find when I push too hard, I make mistakes, and making mistakes costs more time than fuel saving.
True. I like it. We've started a very interesting conversation here, folks. Stick around. The can of worms is open and all over the floor. In saying that, mate, great promising result for the BMW. They seem to be the car of choice this season. They seem to be the car to have. I mean, Dench is doing Dench-like things, but you were the second Bimmer home tonight, and that is a nice confidence-boosting result to go into the second half of the season with.
Yeah, well, it'll be half points because I started the season with the Audi, but it's just not for me. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I've missed so many rounds; it doesn't really matter at this point anyway.
No, that's true as well. But in saying that, race results, be they for points or not, they're all about building that confidence. And I guess for you as well, getting comfortable with the car. As you say, you tried the Audi, went back to something you're more familiar with, more comfortable with. And I guess we'll get to the back end of this season and you'll have an opportunity to go explore other manufacturers, other mates, again, and reassess, or stick loyal to the Bimmer because it continues to serve you well.
Yeah, well, I always seem to come back to it, so yeah.
Exactly.
Just happy with it.
Thoughts on the mountain next week, mate? I mean, it certainly dished out some great entertainment yesterday. There was a BMW leading until it committed suicide at the cutting. It seems to be a circuit that is going to suit the Bimmers well next Monday night as well.
Yeah, hopefully I can be here. I'm not too sure at the moment. I've got only a couple of weeks before I move across the country, so yeah, time poor at the moment.
And by move across the country, we're saying from where to where, please?
Currently just outside Gympie in Queensland and moving to Perth.
Oh, so if he wasn't time poor beforehand, ladies and gentlemen, try starting a race just after lunchtime when he gets over there. All right, well...
exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. I know. You know it's a pet hate of mine too, don't worry. I'm hearing you. I'm feeling your pain. We wish you all the best with the move. We say congratulations on the result tonight and look forward to hopefully seeing you next week, or if not, once you're settled over in Perth.
Thank you very much.
That was a very nice drive. And just went about his business quietly, didn't get involved in any garbage. It flew under the radar for the most part, as they usually do when they start that far down the order. And in the end, was the next best home, 30 seconds down the road from John Merritt and Matt Dench and everyone. Ash Collins got home on one stop as well, but in fourth. So the first four passed the post, 3 Bimmers and a Ferrari, got home on one stop. Everyone beyond that, with the exception of Richard Mitchum, was 2. Mitchum, of course, chug-a-lugging across the line, and Glenn Arnott was the only other one that tried the one stop, but as we saw, it came horribly undone on that final lap. Still not sure exactly what happened to Luke Hay. That's really unfortunate for him that he wasn't able to get back out there and take the checkered flag. And Jacob Todd, of course, we saw contact with Richard Mitchum. Race control still with a bit of work to do tonight, picking through the tape of all of that. Platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, post-race show, round 5 of Waste Options GT3. Hard to believe we're already at the midway point of the bloody season. Getting to Paul Wood in just a moment. Just want to go back to Greg Heaney and Zach Christie because I held you guys there just while we brought Nick Wood in. Your thoughts on next week, fellas? The Mountain, the Porsche, the Audi, 2 different cars to the Bimmer. It's only a 4-manufacturer race at the moment because, as we saw, Ferraris out there through John Merritt and a few others. There was no love for any other manufacturer tonight. No Mercs, no Lambos, no McLarens and no Fords. I suspect that'll change next week because a couple of the regular players might end up back on the grid. We know that Bathurst brings them out of the woodwork. But how are we feeling about, respectively? I'll start with you, Greg, and go to you, Zach, the Audi and the Porsche around the mountain.
Definitely looking forward to it. I'm probably going to spend most of this week practicing for the 12-hour coming this weekend. Probably going to do the Ferrari for that, for the official, and then probably spend most of Sunday, if not all of Sunday, practicing with the Audi to make sure I can get the back end settled enough to throw it across the top of the mountain. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it most definitely. But yeah, it's just going to be tricky getting the back of the car to behave itself, particularly across an hour and a half.
Indeed. And that's the other point as well. We up it from 60 to 90 minutes, and we know the pace around Bathurst is significantly different to Okayama. But in saying that as well, so's the potential for running into trouble, because you don't have margin for error at Mount Panorama in the way that you would at other circuits. There's concrete waiting to collect you if you slip up even gradually or slightly.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I'll be happy if I can complete the race this time round. Last season, or the end of last year for season 4, unfortunately tried to climb the wall twice. It didn't really work, so shot myself in the foot in that regard. But yeah, hoping I can actually get to the end this time without sticking it in the fence.
Someone described it best yesterday with the bimmer that was climbing the wall at the cutting. Is this Mount Panorama Bathurst for car racing or Tony Hawk?
I know it was a pretty good one yesterday.
It was.
It was rather interesting.
That was my favourite looking car on the racetrack too. I was disappointed that its day ended as a write-off, but anyway, that is the mountain. It bites hard, and the internationals, I think they learn a very tough lesson when they come undone, that you've got to show this place a little bit more respect than that. Let's bring in your co-driver, your teammate, I should say now, and Zach Christie, and get your thoughts on next week, mate.
Yeah, Bathurst is always a special track, especially it being, we'll say, a home race, hometown race, even though we're Australian, so makes it our hometown anyway. It's always a special place to go. It's always good to watch as well at the same time, especially real life categories, especially with having the 12-hour and then having the Bathurst 500 obviously next weekend too. So it's going to be a busy couple of weeks and getting practice for our race as well. Love Bathurst. I'm sneakily hoping that we're going to pull out a Campbell, Matt Campbell. Wonderful drive on the weekend he did in the Porsche. Agreed. So I think we'll see how I go with it. I'm probably going to work with Greg on this. Greg's probably a little bit better at setting up cars than I am with that, and I'll just work with him on that. I feel like I want a better race car, because racing, as you said, is 90 minutes. You want to have a better race car, and you want to... It's a bit of nutrition, I guess you want to say, because Bathurst does hurt, especially when you hit the walls, as you said, and we saw on the weekend. If you can stay out of those walls and just finish the race, I think I'll be more than happy with that. Honestly, I'd give it a red hot go and see if I can finish where Campbell did and do him proud, I guess. But definitely not as good as driver at him. But I'll give him my red hot go for sure. Honestly, it's just going to be a race car. I think I just want to get under my belt. I love Bathurst, so it's going to be a fun time to drive.
Indeed it will be. I mean, there's always an extra degree of excitement and anticipation and drama attached to any trip we make. Doesn't matter in any category, any race length, or whatever the case may be, any night of the week when we go to Mount Panorama. And after what we saw there yesterday, GT3s are always at the top of the must-watch pile when it comes to visits there, and they always seem to deliver, be it real world or virtual. To next Monday night will be no exception. Make sure you join us on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Zach, Greg, thank you guys. Go well for the rest of the week, and look forward to seeing you Monday night.
Absolutely. Also, good old plug in there as well. Head over to Players Sim 1 or Pagnian Imports and get yourself into a simulator so you can join us, because we're having a lot of fun, and that's the main thing. So hopefully see everyone around.
I won't, no offense intended, but I'm not going to take you up on that offer, only because, well, I've already got a seat here in the commentary box. And if I vacate it, we've got to find someone to fill it.
You might just want to...
Zach, places, can't ditch my Zach because he's driving for me. So
I was about to say, you want to swap? You want to swap, Zach?
Yeah,
Zach, you're driving the car.
Yeah, exactly. Well done, guys. Good luck for the rest of the week. Go well.
Awesome, no, Zach. Thanks so much, mate.
Thanks for your time, Adam and Zach.
How good are
both of you. Thanks. See you later.
Yeah, been a wet and sodden weekend in some parts of the country, in some parts of the world. but thankfully we were able to finish it off with some really hot competition here. Firstly from Laguna, Seca, and then Okayama on a Monday night. I got Paul Wood and John Merritt standing by. Stay with me, Hot Lap, coming to you in a sec. Paul Wood, unfortunately, in the wars early, but salvaged 27th in the end, albeit a lap down, and it's very hard when you end up on the tow rope so early in the piece. When you know that for the rest of the night, it's just a case of, as I say so often, going out there, going through the motions, just trying to get to the checkered flag. That must have been rather frustrating.
Yes, for me it was an extremely frustrating evening. The Bailey BMW was, well, I can't really say the word, I don't think, even at this time of night, but it was a heap of rubbish tonight for me. I just could not get it to basically just to stay on the track, full stop. And when I come around and had that little incident on the track, there was no yellow or anything. I had no idea, not even sure who it was actually that was sitting in the track, but yeah, Richard was right in front of me. He pulled to the side, and next thing there was this wall of, I think it was an Audi right in front of me, and yeah, I had nowhere to go, and that was that. Ripped the front wheel off, so that was pretty much it for me. Race was over, so I come out to see if I could salvage anything, but yeah, just I had nothing to give, threw the strategy out the window and everything. So, and then I forgot to turn the old pit limiter on, so I had a stop and hold for speeding in the pits as well. So that was pretty much it. So I just come out and was circulating to, like I said, see if I could get lucky and get any points, but I think I still come away with nothing in the end. So it's a round to put in the history books. And this, like I said last week, this track is never usually one of my strong tracks. I always struggle here, but tonight seemed unusually hard for me. So yeah, put it in the rearview mirror.
Put it in the bin. Put it in the bin and set the bin on fire, I'd say. Fair dinkum. That was unfortunate for you, because normally we know that you settle into a rhythm and usually just chip away at it, similar to what Nick Wood did tonight. You move your way forward. Unfortunately, that chance ripped out from under you very early in the piece through no fault of your own. As soon as we saw the damage and we saw the front end of that Bimmer looking as worn and torn as it was, we knew exactly where it was heading. The tow rope, the pit lane, the fast repair. By that point, the damage was done. So with that out of the road, let's not dwell too much on that, because it's hard when you're out there for an elongated practice session just because you're out of contention. Let's talk about next week. I've got a good feeling about you and Mount Panorama. You seem to go okay there.
I'm hoping so, although we've got the Bathurst 12 hour as well coming up on the weekend in the BMW as well, so it's going to be an interesting one. I'm not feeling too confident at the moment with my last couple of races, but I'm hoping I can get the car to feel good and just come to terms with it myself. That's why I'm racing it this season, just so I could get more seat time in it. But usually I can do all right. It's a longer race, plays in my hands. You don't need to be fastest on track. If I can just get a comfortable setup, then keep circulating without incident. I'll see where I can come up. But it should be interesting. Should have plenty of practice with the 12 hour, and we'll see where we're at next week. So hopefully better than this week.
I think a lot of our guys are going to be all Bathurst out by next Monday night. By the way, these guys are talking. They've spent the weekend watching the Real World 12 hour. They've got their virtual one this weekend. Some of them will watch the other racing that's going on in the Real World over there this weekend. Not me. I'm on rugby league assignment this weekend, which is good. As far away from it as possible. And then, of course, back up and do another 90 minutes around there just for the fun of it next Monday night. Go well, Woodsy. Appreciate that, mate. Bad luck.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll on to next week, and hopefully I'll come in a bit better mood.
Look, we welcome good mood, bad mood, as long as it's not swear mood, and you contained yourself very well there tonight. Well done. Those are the joys of racing. Sometimes she can be an evil mistress. There's no doubt about that. Good days and bad days, but character building, and hopefully we'll see Woodsy have a far better run next week. Let's move to John Merritt at this point. Hot lap, well done. Second to Denchi. You and him. There's something about Monday nights. You're glued to each other like glue. You're stuck to one another. It's quite extraordinary, even in a situation like tonight. That you two continue to just find one another and run in close proximity, up 2 spots on where you started. And very early in the piece, we were looking to you and also I think it was Jacob Todd and Luke Hay. They were giving you a fair bit of a push along, but then their respective shortcomings befell them, and then all of a sudden it was you and Denchi. And then we got wind of the fact that you two were going to try and pull off a 21-lap second stint and somehow managed to do so. How thin were we on fuel at the checkered flag, please?
No, I think we were coughing at the line, Zach. So we were as thin as we could be. So
I'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah, I don't think the other boys are on the fuel save strategy, perhaps, but I think by about the third lap, I was sort of easing out and sort of thought it was possible to get there. So not my type of racing, but we made it work tonight.
Definitely not your type of racing. You've been very vocal about that in the past. But if you can't beat them, join them. And in this instance, it served you well.
Yeah, no, it worked. It worked. Mate, I almost thought for a minute we might have something for Matty, but I lost a little bit on the third last lap with the lap car, and as I said, mate, I coughed at coming to the line pretty much, so there was nothing left in the tank to play with.
Not at all. Not at all. In saying that, though, not your sort of racing, but the game you had to play tonight, and easier to play that when you got blokes like Luke Hay willing to try and do the same thing, and also Jacob Todd. Those guys kept you honest in the mid part.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Jacob, but
turned around at one on the Exeter pit lane by Richard Mitchum.
Oh, right. No good on for either. But
not sure what happened to Luke Hay, just quietly either.
Yeah, well, I think Luke was carrying a penalty, and he was sort of coming towards, or had speed on Matty, obviously. But I think then he realised this isn't going to work to get home, and he sort of pulled the ejector cord from there, from what I saw.
Yeah, well, he did stop one lap earlier than you, but it seemed as though 19 was that absolute critical number, because as we saw when Nick Wood got to 20, that's when you like somewhat clicked and thought, oh, hang on, what have we got to do here to get to 21?
Yeah, I'd sort of had to run some numbers before the race, mate, and realised that if you could sort of run sort of 8/10 off the race pace, do a minimum of 19 in that first stint, and you could probably make the second stint work from there.
Indeed. And I'm assuming, even though he hasn't graced us with his presence, I'm assuming 1M Dench was of the same mindset. And that pace in the early start, and we shouldn't have been surprised, because even though Jacob Todd was going with Denchi there early on, that's the game Denchi plays. If there's no point fuel saving, he usually sets his pace and takes off. And catch me if you can. Tonight, it was clear that he was running to a number.
Yeah, I almost thought he was running a little hard in the first stint, but mate, he is the master of the fuel save, so I shouldn't have thought that for a minute. I thought it was possible to do it, and I think he even probably still saved a little bit over me in the first stint. So I was just hoping that the Beamer sprung a leak somewhere in the second stint.
I was going to say, comments coming in now about big strategy, and that's the point, isn't it? That it is a game for the strategically minded. If it was just flat out racing, everyone had run to the same number, there would have been a not as wide a fuel window. But with the way in which you guys went about being tactful about your fuel burn and consumption, that really threw the form guide out the window, and it really varied things up.
Yeah, at risk of contradicting myself, it probably was friendly on the car at this track. You know, you could roll out through that half track section through the tight stuff, and you know there wasn't much penalty to lap time. I think we were sort of still doing 29.5s while saving near the end there. So it was you know, as a track, it probably lends itself to that.
All right. I don't think anything else needs to be said about tonight. Although I will ask you this: with all the fuel saving and all that coasting, did that help or hinder your tyre wear?
Embarrassingly, mate, I didn't actually check the tyres, and I didn't take tyres. So I didn't check them at the end, but the car was still okay. I think the coasting side and that it certainly helps the tyre where you're not pushing the car, and it certainly wasn't nice in spots, the car, but that was that way from lap 1, so it was pretty consistent through the whole race.
Yeah, but again, I mean, you had the measure of the guys that stopped twice in the Ferraris, namely Fred Kahn and Paul Rogers. You had half a minute on them. You had 28 seconds on Nick Wood. I mean, he contended with traffic for the first half of the race, found clear in air in the second. I mean, there must have been something that was serving you well, apart from your versatility here, to be able to punch it with the BMWs and be the only one really that was able to do so when you look at that result sheet.
Yeah, it must be the sneaky fuel save testing I've been doing, Zach. I don't know. No, I think look, the set I had was pretty good, and I really don't think 50 metres out, coasting into the corners wasn't really, certainly saving a little bit of tyre in that sense, and fuel along the way. It probably looked after the car that bit. It would have been interesting if obviously if Jacob and Luke were on the same strategy. I think that would have made for quite a race at the end.
Absolutely, it would have. And to be fair, Luke only needed to go one lap further in that first stint, and I think he would have been okay. And whatever, I think Jacob might have just burnt a little bit too much in the first stint as well, that compromised his run in the second, but it was certainly good while it lasted. Mates, won't hold you up much longer. Great to see you have a good run in the V's last week. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you again on Thursday night, but before that, next week, Mount Panorama. Yesterday it was Porsche Haven, but not without a fight from BMW. I don't think I saw a Ferrari there yesterday, so hopefully the Prancing Horse will go okay for you next Monday night.
Yeah, can't wait, mate. Love, as you know, I love the mountains. So we did an OSR 12-hour there a few weeks back. So ran the Fez. So it should be all hopefully bodes well, and hopefully got the eye in with the lazy 133 laps I ran.
Yes, very nice. I guess that's the thing about it, and I was saying it from the commentary box as well, John. As you would have heard when we were talking to Nick Wood. There are some weeks where, as you admitted a few moments ago, the fuel save works to your advantage and serves you well, and you don't pay too much of an invoice for it. As you said, the pace was pretty hot at the end, and consistent with where it had been throughout the course of the night. But there are some weeks where there is absolutely nothing to be gained from it whatsoever, because you end up losing more time throughout the course of the race and then still having to come in for that second pit stop anyway. So it's a very much chalk and cheese sort of situation. It's very much track dependable, isn't it?
Yeah, very track dependent. If you've got depending on a long straight sort of scenario where you're going to lose too much time, or the length of the pit lane, I think can vary it. I normally, mate, don't bother. As you know, I actually measured my time down pit lane tonight and did some rough maths and thought, well, unfortunately, I reckon it's going to be a fuel save.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. The time lost on pit lane sometimes doesn't make it worth it either. And this is a long pit lane, especially with the entry being halfway through the third sector. Now, John, before I let you go, will we see you at Long Beach on Thursday night?
I'll be doing my best to be there for sure.
Excellent. Good boy. Looking forward to that immensely. Formula V's and the potential for a few canoes as well around the Concrete Canyon, the streets of Long Beach. Go on, mate. Well done tonight. Again, the best of the Ferraris. Now it's a case of catching Denchi if you can in the second half of the season.
I look forward to it, mate. We'll see how that Beamer goes at Bathurst.
Indeed, we will. I'm excited already. Speaking of the second half of the season, so we've burnt a couple of our 60-minute races already. We've burnt a couple of our sprint rounds already, but our 2 90-minute races are still to come. Let's have a look at what's coming your way as far as that rest of the season is concerned in GT3, if we can please, Adam Lavis. Mount Panorama for 90 minutes and Spa for 90 minutes, top and tail of that second half of the season. 2 sprint races there, round 7 and 8, Mugello into Modal and Aragon. So again, it'll be an AM split broadcast race first up, and then a pro split second up on those 2 nights, weeks 7 and 8. I'm not sure if I'm here for week 9, and seeing that it's Hockenheim, I probably won't be, but we'll see how we go. I'm on the way back from Griffith on that particular occasion. I'm just not sure the old body clock's going to hold up for me after 8 hours of travel on the Monday back to Mum and Dad's. 60 minutes there, the order of the day, March 18. I will be on deck for the finale, however, on March 25 from Circuit to Spa-Francorchamps. It doesn't look like I'm going to Bathurst for Easter at this stage. We do this every... actually, no. Have we got GT3 AM results? Sorry, Adam. I didn't even go there. We haven't even had a look at them yet. Did they get to 40 laps as well? Yes, they did. And it was won by... Oh, have a look at the great man. Have a look at the Greek. Oh, magnificent. Parry Anastakis with the W on a Monday night, you beauty. And we hope to see a W for him in the Sydney 300 in just on 3 months' time. Of course, it's May 18. It's coming around bloody quickly. Well done to Paz there. 1.6 the margin over Daniel Piper, Johnny Benetch, and then Scott Wooden, Tom Williams, I should say. Bobby Camo, then Benjamin Lavender, Kurt Nomenson, and then Adam Hennessy and Jordan Ferguson, the top 10 there in GT3M, and Parry Anastakis, a rare W in the column in the GT3s. He will be delighted about that, I'm sure. And he led 35 laps along the way as well. Championship points in Pro. Well, there it is. It speaks for itself, doesn't it? Look at that already. Like 118 points at round 5. Remembering that drop rounds come into the equation at the end of round 7, and furthermore, I think we worked out you only need somewhere between 105 and 110 up your sleeve going into the final round, and not even have to bother turning up to Spa. And Denchi's well on track to be able to do that. Jesus, what a margin that is so early in the campaign. John Merritt 176, 172 for Ash Collins, so it's really tight in the fight for second, third, and fourth. And then back to Richard Mitchum, only 3 points clear of Jared Knight. 9 back to Thomas Martin. Greg Heaney, consistency paying off for him at the moment in the top 10. Paul Rogers and Tom Bidgood, who wasn't on the grid tonight, but it still sits 10th. Aidan Luthwaite, only a couple of rounds into his GSRC campaign. He's jumped up into 11th. Now, 90, I'm still... Are we any the wiser as to what he's been pinged for or why?
My only guess is that we ran wide the last corner onto the straight, which gave Snadden a run. My only guess is maybe if he got a slow down from running too wide there and didn't clear it. That's because
that wouldn't cost him a lap.
I don't know. It's odd because he only had 6 incident points, so it's not an incident point penalty. No, it has to be a black flag of some other sort.
Can't wait to find out what that was next time Nighty graces us with his presence. Let's remind everybody, do we have the M points? Yes, we do. William Yarwood's on top. Wow, there you go. So a real-world 300 stalwart in Parry Anastakis winning the race tonight, and a karting champion of years and years at the top of the AM standings at the moment. BMW on top of both splits at this point. Even though he wasn't on the grid tonight, he leads the championship. Have a look at that. How the hell does that work out? 146 for Philip Butler. I know exactly why he wouldn't have been on the grid tonight. Him, Tyler Greenberry, and a few others here will be taking transporters over to South Australia for the opening round of the Australian Karting Championship this weekend, and we do wish them well with that. That just reminded me, I've got to go and pay TGR Greenberry a visit next week. Scott Wooden, Adam Chiplin, and Adam Hennessy, the top 5. Then Chris Mack in 6th spot, Ben Lavender 7th, Dean Eldridge, Liam Amos, and Jake Karolowski make up the top 10. Less than 80 points, 74 points covers 1st through 10th at the moment. It's always hotly contested in GT3M, and look at that tie for 3rd at the moment, Wooden and Chiplin, and 3 different manufacturers in the top 10, in the top 5 rather, and in the top 3 more specifically, 5 different manufacturers in the top 10 at the moment. Which is really good to see. So a great variety, as always, in GT3. And at the moment, HDS Racing. Ash Collins, Jared Knight, even with that penalty tonight, 90 sits on 317 points with the help of Ash Collins to be 20 points clear of Matt Dench on his lonesome at the top of the team's championship at the moment. The first of the Pro-Am or AM split competitors in that running order of teams bragging rights is, of course, Scott Wooden and Neil Gladwin down in 5th place. We do this each Monday, Wednesday, and occasionally Wednesday, Monday, and Thursdays every week. With thanks to Waste Options, with thanks also to Sprayton Cider and the team at Player One Sim Gear, Lobesy Racing, of course. Couldn't do it without Treno. Good on you, mate. Up and comers tomorrow night. More on that in a tick. M-Wave Australia and Flash Graphics. And how Flash is on the subject, if you pardon the pun. How Flash is the new logo from Flash Graphics? Very nicely done. All right, let's have a look at what's coming your way as far as Week 5 is concerned. This is where we're going. Phillip Island tomorrow night. That'll be worth the price of admission in the Toyota 86s for the Lobesy Racing up-and-comers. 3-race Super Sprint format, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time, followed at 9:15 Eastern by the round of the GT1 Civil War campaign from Snetterton. 35 minutes the scheduled race distance there. Wednesday night off to Virginia for the Toyotas. 2 sprint races, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. A 40-minute race follows from the Hockenheim Ring for GT4 at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We are back with you on Thursday night, the 22nd of February, for Sprayton Cider Thursday Night Motorsport from Long Beach first up. And sprint racing's the order of the equation here, the order of the day. It is sprint racing heaven for Thursday night because we've got 5 races on the schedule and looking forward to it immensely. The main bill will be Formula V from Long Beach, 3 sprint races, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Dessert just to top it off, 2 races for the Porsche Cup from Brands Hatch in the United Kingdom. What it lacks in overtaking opportunities will make up for good racing in that second race where we invert the top 10. And Denchi already has sent the warning out, the message out to everybody that he loves that racetrack. So they are on edge, waiting to see what Dench brings to the table on Thursday night. Friday night, Super Formula continues for you. And that one coming up from Spa-Francorchamps, 3 sprint races, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. The Formula Ford is the car of choice on Saturday night in the Mountain Men. 32 laps around Mount Panorama. Open wheelers, you beauty. That'll be an absolute pearl up. A Sunday night, yet to be confirmed the venue, but the Supercar Oval Series continues from 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Pete Matson will have more information on that later in the week. And then, of course, Monday night, we're back with you to start the second half of Term 1 for 2024. Have a listen to that. Roll around so quickly. Off to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course first up, 25 minutes in Super 3 next week, by the look at that. How good. And, well, even better. Given the spiciness of their championship at the moment, I didn't even realise this, but we're actually going to bring you the AM split next Monday night in GT3, thanks to Waste Options as well. So it's the lower splits next week. Super 3 first up, Mid-Ohio, 25 minutes. GT3 AM, 90 minutes. Mount Panorama, 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. We're with you an hour earlier to bring you that Super 3 race. And that will be extra spicy, extra juicy, because as we say, they all come out of the woodwork for Mount Panorama, and the AM split racing, well, we're not terribly sure how red hot it's been. Throw those guys around Mount Panorama, it ups the stakes, it ups the challenge, and it'll be interesting to see who answers it and how they answer it, and who comes out smiling as far as their championship campaign is concerned. That promises to be a lot of fun. That is next Monday night. We can't wait for that. That'll be February 26th. And we're lucky this term as well. For the first time ever, we'll have a GSRC broadcast on February 29 in week 6. So how about that? GSRCmerch.myshopify.com. The website's live. Waiting for you to purchase something. Be it that you want to grab a loved one something for their birthday, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter. I don't know. We don't have chocolate in the range, but not everybody likes chocolate. I've requested not to get chocolate this year because I never bloody get through it. I always throw some out. And it ends up being for the birds and those that salvage through it at the dump. I don't know. But yes, gsrcmerch.myshopify.com, merch.tgsrci.com. And if you want to get involved in everything that we do here on track, it's race.tgsrci.com, the website that you got to visit for all the information that you need. So we're just about done here. What a great night that was. Really good top shelf racing from first until last. And on the subject of GT3, I mean, we've got a mini enduro next Monday night, but that's what we've got to look forward to once the season gets underway proper. As far as our Sunday Arvo enduros are concerned, And there are a couple of dates there that line up very, very nicely with real-world events, including the round from Suzuka is the same day as the Japanese Formula One Grand Prix. Same day that Queensland actually joins the rest of the Eastern Seaboard on the same time zone and therefore effectively starts 2024. Can't wait for that. At the moment, they're an hour and 112 years more behind. There's a round of the World Endurance Championship, Le Mans, on the same day as we're going to Le Mans. So that's, going to be fantastic viewing. Motorsport in July, then we get the Spa, Fuji, Mugello, the Nordschleife in Germany, the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and Road America to finish this off. So quite a few rounds in North America, but quite a few events in Asia, Europe, and whatever else as well. So a good spread, good mix of circuits there. Greg Favell was brilliant in Super 2 tonight. I don't think any of us were surprised by that. Favell's been in fine form in recent weeks and hitting his straps now, winning by 15 seconds tonight. Not without its drama, a few controversial incidents. Same can be said for what we saw here at Okayama. So Player 1 Sim Gear Super 2 and Waste Options GT3 done for another week. A fuel save race for the ages. Matty Dench, John Merritt, 1 and 2. The old foes go at it again, and yet again it's a tick in the box in the W column for Matthew Dench. The Dench mark rolls on. He's got a commanding lead. In fact, you'd have to go back through the record books. I don't know if he's had a bigger lead by round 5 as he does this term. He's on track to wrap this up very, very early and tick BMW off the list of manufacturers that he's won a championship for on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club on his way to title number 9. Hard luck for Jared Knight. Hard luck for a couple of others there towards the end as well. Luke Hay, Jacob Todd. Hard luck in the outset for Braden O'Loughlin, Jermaine Tacklew and Paul Wood. But them's the breaks of racing. Sometimes it just doesn't fall your way. Hope you enjoyed Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Go and get a couple of hours sleep. The NASCAR Xfinity Series, weather pending from Daytona at 3 a.m. on Fox Sports 506, followed by the Great American Race, the Daytona 500 from 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow morning. A lot to look forward to as the motorsport season ramps up both virtually and in the real world. Of course, we've got more racing from Bathurst next weekend in the real world. And then the week after, it's Formula One. The week after, MotoGP. And a few of the other big events not too far away now. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for being with us on behalf of Adam Lavis, all the crew. I'm Zach Cabin. Until we see you Thursday night for Sprite Inside of Thursday Night Motorsport, the Vs and the Porsches. It's bye for now.